No, hello? Hello? Can you hear me? Uh, uh, hi, Robo. Hi, Axe. I can see you. Axe, it makes me so happy, to see you here. It's like I said last night, it really brightens my day whenever I see you up, bright and early, relatively speaking anyway. Hello, Leon. I'm actually really happy right now. Oh, hi, Fahim. Welcome, to, hi, what's going on? I'm new. Hi, Vanita. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Sorry if I'm not. I feel like this is my first, solo philosophy stream I've done in a while. Why is my auto frozen? Okay. Yeah, oh wait, there's no background music. What was I gonna say? I lost my train of thought. First, in introductions, I'm Tia Faire, idol philosopher and justice incarnate, for anyone who doesn't know me. Today, I wanted to do a stream on unconditional love since it's Valentine's week. It's Valentine's season, and you know, normally this isn't the kind of love when we think of Valentine's season. Normally we think of, you know, there are different types of love, and normally we think of romantic love, more like you know, that kind of thing. But I don't know about you disciples, but I, for one, am particularly passionate about unconditional love, and I know that might make me a little weird, a little different from most people, but I'm really crazy about the idea of unconditional love, and I can't wait to tell you why. And maybe by the end of this stream you'll be a little crazier about it too. So what have I wanted to say, Fahim, since once again, welcome. I know this is your first chatting stream of mine you're tuning into after discovering me through the Xenoblade X episode the other day. I really appreciate your comments on Vlosophy. That was really nice of you, and I just wanted to say, I mean, you might already be thinking this very thing, but if you, for anyone here who's a Xenoblade fan, probably this is a philosophy stream for you, because I'd say unconditional love is sort of one of the thematic undercurrents of the Xenoblade series. You really don't speak clearly nor to the point? Well, you should work on it. Well, I figured it was only a matter of time before someone said that, but you know what? I have anxiety. I don't necessarily like the way I speak either, but I have anxiety, and it's not a crime to stream while having anxiety. So, if you don't like it, you can take a hike. It is what it is. I hope by speaking clearly, I hope that I am audible, at least. My mic volume should be the same as it always is. So yeah. But if anyone can't hear me, do let me know. Alright. How do I go from here? I feel like I've already gotten maybe a couple of objections to, or I guess critical questions about the idea of unconditional love ever since, like, I posted the schedule, my weekly schedule a few days ago, and it said that it said I was doing a stream on unconditional love on it, and I also noticed a Robo that you posted a comment on my YouTube post, saying that you had a bunch of questions about unconditional love, which I thought was really cool. I didn't get a chance to respond to it, but whatever questions that you have, I hope will be addressed in today's stream. Like if any, whatever questions that that come to your mind as the stream goes on, feel free to raise them in chat. Yeah. All good. We can hear you fine. Fahim says, thanks for the warm welcome, and I'm glad you appreciated my comments. Yeah, I agree on that about Xenoblade. Yeah, that's like, go figure. Like, I'm not surprised. Like, especially, you know, you know what? No, I was about to go on a tangent about Xenoblade X, but this is not a gaming stream, so I think I'm gonna hold back for now. Robo said, on the point of anxiety, I had a bunch on the topic of unconditional love I had written and kind of wanted to share, but it got out of hand, so now I'm too scared to post it. I think here's what I'll tell you. If you still have the post saved somewhere, you have my explicit permission to post it wherever it is you feel comfortable posting it, like whether it's your I don't know, like I think like there's probably a character limit on YouTube comments, but whatever format you are able to post it on, like, you are welcome to, and I will read it, and I'm not gonna get on your case for you know posting a text wall. I'm sure Axion would, and maybe even Karis would probably also like to see your thoughts and engage with them. It is a topic that I am you know, passionate about, so unless you're like, you know, coming into it being like really adversarial and like screaming at me for being wrong before knowing my views, which like it's not like sort of, I don't think that's who you are. I would be happy to answer your questions and have a discussion about it, but having said that, now that we're here, and the stream has started, you know, maybe that ship has sailed already. So maybe it'll just end up being that whatever questions you had will be answered today. Yeah, maybe just know for the future. I understand being intimidated. Like, that's not a feeling that I'm alien to. But yeah. Okay, Vanita says, why did you choose this topic? It's like, why waste your time? Aren't people stupid who love people who don't even care about them? Genuine question. I chose this topic because it's important. It's important to me personally. It has a significant... I was about to say significant personal significance, and I was like, wait, that is like that's redundant. But aside from that, I think, you know what? Maybe I should just get to it. What can you expect from this stream? What is this stream for? So this stream is not, I think so, you know, based on a sort of a question/criticism I got a couple days ago, some people feel like might have the wrong idea that this is sort of for that when it so what do I mean by unconditional love? Like, I feel like some people might have the wrong idea that we're just talking about the literal definition of unconditional love, like the word like unconditional, like what that literally means. It's just like love that has no conditions, basically. And I feel like thinking of it that way sort of defeats or counters the purpose of why I really want to talk about it. We're not trying to have a discussion about what it literally is or whether it literally exists. What I want to do is discuss unconditional love as a cultural concept, as opposed to like the dictionary definition of it, because it is a cultural concept. There have been sort of how do I say this? Unconditional love has been sort of a fixture in our culture for thousands of years now. That many are famous and that we can sort of refer to and understand them through those examples that are scattered throughout our culture. And I want to discuss some of these cultural examples and in the end argue for why I think that unconditional love should be an ethical norm. That is, if we... I think the world would be a better place if everyone, or at least, more people, the more the better, practiced unconditional love. I know that that might be... You know what? I think... Based on my experiences with trying to discuss this topic before and, witnessing other people's discussions on it, I expect that this will be a hard sell. And I don't expect that just by doing this stream that my job will be done and everybody will have been convinced. I think that's just the start of a long journey. What I do expect is that I personally see myself revisiting this topic and talking about it many times over the course of my career and over the course of many years. With this being just the beginning. I've even hesitated to talk about this previously on my channel so far because it's just such... I've been going through a lot of anxiety since my debut, and I didn't feel like I was up for this. But it is important, and sort of tis the season for love. So I felt like I should give it my best shot now, and no guarantees that I'll nail the execution. But if I don't, there will be future opportunities to come back to it and iterate on the process. But for now, I'm just gonna go for it. It is if it sucks, it is what it is. Even Charles Manson got love letters in jail. I don't think that's necessarily an example of unconditional love. It is pretty interesting that you bring that up. Maybe we can come back to that later. All right. Right now, oh shit! I just realized there was something small I wanted to do that's OBS related that I forgot to do. I feel like if I don't do it now, maybe I'll just take a minute to do it. Because if I don't do it now, the next few minutes are gonna be a bit more awkward. I think it shouldn't take long, but it will help. Let me just... Alright. I got it. I just gotta put this thingy here. I'm sorry about this. I actually spent more time preparing for this stream than any of my previous philosophy streams, some of which I didn't really prepare for at all, unfortunately, due to mental health issues. But nevertheless, things happen, I guess. Okay. Does that work? Can you see that? Alright. So, when it comes to examples of history, of examples of unconditional love, no worries, we're not in a hurry, take your time. Oh, thanks, Axe. I always As the streamer, I always feel like I'm on a timer. You know, I can't disappoint the you know, impatient viewers who will click off and look at something that's more high octane and brain dead on YouTube if I am not entertaining enough. Anyway. Oh, thanks, Fahim. Oh yeah, you're also kind. I think I've seen this guy before. No, really. Where? Is he famous? I wasn't sure. Okay. So when it comes to discussing unconditional love, and as a cultural concept, I thought, why not start at the very beginning? Because while I am not an expert historian, to my knowledge, I feel like it would be pretty appropriate to trace the history of unconditional love back to Jesus Christ and Christianity. I can't say for certain if Jesus is sort of the like absolute earliest known example of unconditional love as a cultural idea, but he's certainly one of the earliest examples, and certainly one of the ones that has been the most famous and the most influential in our society since then. How do I talk about this part? Okay, disclaimer. I myself am not Christian, and I've never been Christian, so I might not do the best job of covering this part. Some of you in chat who do have more of a Christian background, in particular, I'm thinking of my husband, Leon, who was raised Christian and is still Christian. If you'd like to pitch in and help out this atheist heathen, you're more than welcome to. Oh, I need to pull up the YouTube chat box. It's so hard to read the OBS the text on the on-screen text. Sometimes it's pretty small, and it's on the far side of my second monitor. Wait, now the chat box is not the YouTube chat box now is not loading properly for me. I can't. Okay, and I gotta squint then. Yoav says, am I too late to join? No, we've pretty much just started. So far, I've just explained that we're not discussing the literal definition of unconditional love, or like the dictionary definition, nor whether it literally exists. We're talking about unconditional love as the phrase refers to a cultural idea, an idea that has persisted in our culture for millennia gone by now, and I'm going to try to argue for why I think unconditional love should be an ethical norm. And feel free to pose whatever questions and challenges you have as the stream goes on. Oh, it's I think the loading caught up now. Good. Robo says, no slight is too great, no wound too deep, and no other's pain is too much to end my love. I like the sound of that quote. Where's that one from? I don't recognize it. I feel like that comes pretty close to capturing the spirit of unconditional love. So already I see we've kind of got the right idea here, which makes me happy. Belladonna says, didn't worry, a few of us will watch you unconditionally, scuff or not. Oh, thanks. That's a very sweet comment, Belladonna. I think it probably came up before Jesus. Yeah, maybe. Like, I'm not saying it definitely didn't. I'm just not sure. But either way, Jesus is one of the earliest examples and one of the most, like, recognizable examples. Like, arguably, like, the most, like, recognizable sort of, like, avatar of unconditional love. So he's not a bad place to start with. I wrote it actually. Source, Robo. You heard it here, folks. Robo the poet. I like it. So yeah, once again, I am not in. I'm not. I'm not Christian, and I've never been Christian, so I'm afraid I can't speak to this with much nuance. But basically, Jesus, like, he preached things like, you know, like love thy neighbor as thyself, love thy like, you know, like love thy enemies. Here I have in front of me this I'm sorry. I feel really awkward talking about like Christianity sometimes, like just because like my like exposure to it is so like insufficient, I think. Like I sort of googled biblical quotes this morning, and I think the one that suits my point best is this one from Luke, New International Version. But to you who are listening, I say, love your enemies, do good to those who hate you, bless those who curse you, pray for those who mistreat you. And I feel like at this point it might actually be useful to sort of try to define unconditional love in opposition to conditional love, which is what I feel like is the maybe more of the norm in the current norm in our society. Maybe I should have maybe I should have discussed this earlier, but I you know, I didn't think about it, but I think for me part of the significance of doing this stream and advocating for this idea is I feel like we live in a society where conditional love is currently the norm. That's the one that is sort of fashionable, and that's the one that most people believe in, with unconditional love being an idea that maybe a lot of people have heard of, at least in name, that they but it's not something that they believe in or necessarily understand, and that's something that I want to try to change. I think that in our society, the norm, and feel free to disagree and sort of provide your own you know, context on this, but I guess my impression has always been that we live in a society that very much justifies conditional love. We are broadly okay with the idea of loving people and you know, treating them you know, like, you know, kindly and doing nice things for them, mainly if there is something in it for us, and if there isn't, then we have sort of no responsibility to that other person or other people whatsoever. And that yeah, I mean, this might be a bit cynical of me. Other people might have had different experiences and views on this, but I find that I think that a lot of people justify what I at least personally find to be a transactional view on relationships, and one that strikes me as a little inhumane, I guess. Yoav says, as someone with consequentialist leanings, I think unconditional love does not have to be a moral norm by itself. Given certain facts about how this world currently works, and may be helpful though. I see. I wouldn't mind if you expanded on what you mean by certain facts about how this world works. But yeah, we can call Jesus the trope codifier. So, are you a troper? Belladonna, do you go into TV tropes a lot? I used to, not anymore, but I know what you're talking about. Yoav says, to be clear, I think it's only instrumentally good, and even then not always. That quote makes me think of Nietzsche calling Christian morality and such slave morality. Well, I agree with Nietzsche on some things. I don't agree with him on everything. I don't think We might come. Okay, if I say we might come back to this later, I feel like it's more likely that I'll just entirely forget what I was talking about. So, about this moment. So, how do I put my thoughts succinctly here? I think that Nietzsche. I think for me, the implication of grouping Christian morality with slave morality is that Christian morality is weak, but I think it's actually strong. I think it's one of the strongest and toughest things to do, and hopefully by the end of the stream it will become clear as to how and why that is. But for now... Oh, Yoav does specify I don't like Nietzsche's approach, but I do find it funny. Yeah, I guess so. Oh, hello, Frost. I believe this is the first stream of mine that you're tuning in for. Welcome. So far, you've just missed me fumbling talking, talking about Christianity. Robo. Wait, what? Wait, okay. This is some sort of thread. I love cars. Vroom vroom, go fast. Gas sucking cars. Is this a valid hobby? Many think so. Is it morally the best hobby? Definitely not. Literally making the air worse for everyone. Not to mention the noise pollution. But I still love my car. Is it unconditional? I mean, my car can't cheat on me, and if it breaks, that's my fault for neglecting it. So it should be because of its long-term harm on the environment, I know someday I may have to give up my car, and that's okay. It's actually best for the best. So it's a love with a conditional, society said. Time limit. That reminds me of something I read earlier today in an article on unconditional love, but I think for now it suffices to say that when we're speaking of unconditional love as an ethical norm, that applies to mostly to other human beings. There is no imperative to love non-living things unconditionally. If you did, I mean, yeah, it would be easy, maybe, since your card can't cheat on you. So I don't know if loving, I would put loving on unconditional, unconditionally loving objects to be on the same level as unconditionally loving people. Leon having to step away. Okay, enjoy. I mean, not enjoy, but survive your meeting, and then come back to this meeting with Tia, your wife. Yoav says, I remember in a seminar I had on philosophy of love, they also mentioned a transactional view of love. In my opinion, it is unfortunate. A lot of that philosophy is continental. Access, hope you have a great rest of the day. That's super noble of you, but Leon is just he told me before stream that he'll have a meeting and then he'll come back for the end of the stream. It feels like it should be named unconditional past a certain point. That's fair. I think we're gonna get to that. We're gonna probably cover that by the end of the stream. If what is unconditional love, whether it would be more appropriate to call it something else. I don't want to focus semantics too much on this stream because I don't really enjoy arguing semantics, and I also feel like it's besides the point. It doesn't matter. It matters less what you call something than that everyone can broadly agree on what it is. Laugh at me hating on continental philosophy. I don't know. Was I laughing? I think I was probably laughing at Axion's comment because it was so good-natured, and it's just that one happened to come up right after yours. So anyway, yeah. So Jesus is saying that we should love our enemies. Flies sort of in the face of our current society sort of mainstream views on love and loving responsibility. which is something that I personally find interesting because you will now, I guess, I feel like these days on the internet, you will hear a lot of complaints and concerns about how Christianity is sort of too, dominant or mainstream as a cultural force, particularly in the United States. And yet somehow, unconditional love is not a mainstream attitude in our society. It's almost as if most American evangelists don't actually live their lives in the image of Jesus. What a radical concept. Anyway, and then when it comes, okay, this is, I felt I would have been remiss to not address this, so I want to. When it comes to the exact origins of unconditional love, in terms of like, who was the first, like, was it Jesus, so despite having Asian heritage, I'm not very well versed in Asian philosophy, so I did do some cursory research on examples of unconditional love in ancient Asian philosophy, to see if there were any examples, particularly any that predated Jesus Christ. I did say that there is sort of a parallel to unconditional love in Buddhism, which I was sort of already kind of aware of, since I did have some exposure. I did grow up in a Buddhist household for like half of my childhood. And so that, I wouldn't be surprised if that predated Jesus Christ. And from a cursory glance at it, I think I would say there's more overlap between it and Jesus's version of unconditional love than not. In other words, it seems to me that there is sort of a broad agreement on what unconditional love is and its importance, regardless of culture. This is not a culture. This is not a concept that is entirely culturally specific to just one part of the world. There's like a version of unconditional love in many different parts of the world, to speak to sort of, I think, maybe the significance and the applicability of this idea. Frost says, "It is an honor to get to be of service to another," on the idea of loving responsibility. Yeah, I'd say in some ways it is, though not everyone may agree with that attitude. I think that problem arises from people who claim to be Christians not practicing actual Christianity. Yeah, what you just said. Yeah, I didn't want this to be a stream just dunking on evangelist or but yeah. Frost says, "It's concerning that we don't have a way to challenge other people's claim to their identity, since it'd come off as a no-true Scotsman, which allows people to do evil in the name of Christianity." Would that always come off as a no-true Scotsman? Like, I feel like to qualify as a Christian, this is like not really on topic, but I personally, as a non-Christian, I feel like to qualify as a non-Christian, you have to understand and live your life in the image of Jesus Christ, and not just call yourself a Christian. Like, calling yourself something doesn't make yourself that thing in many other areas of life, right? Like, calling yourself a doctor without a medical license does not make you a doctor. That's my view on it anyway. So from from here on out, I wanted to try for the rest of the stream, I guess I'll give a breakdown as to how the rest of the stream will go, like the different sections and stuff. I was hoping to first go through several examples of unconditional love in culture and in media, including some more like modern, some examples that are more modern than Jesus, some like the pop culture examples that a lot of people these days, including young people, would recognize. And then after that, we're going to cover common objections to unconditional love, and then after that, go into reasons, purposes for unconditional love. That is ways in which unconditional love can be useful or can increase moral value in our society. Robo says, "Duh, I'm not a mechanic anymore since my certification lapsed." Yeah, I mean it's kind of a gray area, and this stream is not gonna be like, you know. I mean, you can also make the argument that, Tia, you don't have a philosophy degree. How can you call yourself a philosopher? But I think just in that case, it's more important that I am sort of in search for the truth, using reason as my toolkit for doing so. Like it's not like I'm not saying it's about formal qualifications. Like maybe someone who doesn't have an art degree but is drawing on a regular basis, draws for a living, is probably more of an artist than someone who has an art degree but works in something else and, you know, never uses it, for example. But yeah, this we're not discussing No True Scotsman today, so Frost says, that's true for some other religions from my Asian heritage too. Oh, you're also Asian, nice. Where the mainstream belief in some religions break the core tenets of that same religion. I feel, yeah, I mean, I'm Asian and I feel like I can think of some examples of what you're talking about in Asian religions. We might get to that later. We'll save that for later. Actual Christianity, too many sects. Is there anything more than Jesus was a cool dude and we agreed with what he says? Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I'm not going to get into what actual Christianity is. That's not the topic of the stream either. There are many ways in which we could go off topic here. So, when it comes to examples of unconditional love, sorry, I'm a little nervous for this part, because I am scared of tech issues happening. I'm gonna do some things in the stream tech-wise that I've never done before, and I tried my best to prep beforehand and test everything to make sure it wouldn't just, you know, totally go awry. But nevertheless, I still feel the need to brace myself for what's coming. Oh, wait, there's a comment from Leon. Not listening, as said above, but any sects that look holistically at New Testament and understand the changes of Christianity from Old Testament is a good start. There we go. A valuable perspective from a still practicing Christian. Good luck with the tech issues, Tia. Hopefully nothing will go wrong. Oh, thanks for the encouragement. All right. Cultural examples of welcome back, Leon. I'm pretty sure Leon is just listening to my stream muted right now since he's in a meeting, so he's not he can't hear what I'm saying, but he can read what you guys are saying. So maybe like hey, there's an idea. What if you guys like transcribe like point form notes of what I'm saying so that Leon can keep up even when he's just dealing with his like boring coworkers? And you're not under any obligation to do so, by the way. It's just an idea that popped into my head. Roman combat engineers didn't get degrees, and they certainly were engineers. All right. So, the first cultural example of unconditional love I want to talk about. Hopefully I don't screw this up. Wait, where is it? No, it's right here. Les Miserables. Has anyone read this book or seen this musical? It's actually my favorite musical. I'm not sure if I've mentioned that on stream before, but it's a musical that came out in the 80s and it was adapted from a novel by Victor Hugo, French author, originally written in the 19th century, part of the Romanticism movement. And like many, like a lot of sort of books and, paintings from the romantic movement, it's very sentimental, and it's very it's inspired by a certain perspective on Christianity, I feel. And if you're not familiar with Les Mis, if you never read or watched it, that's okay. I'm gonna try my best to tell you about the relevant parts that I think demonstrate unconditional love. True that, Comey. It's about practice, not paperwork. I do that, but unfortunately, I'm locked to my phone for now, so lack the typing speed to do it comfortably. Oh, no worries. I really have no there's no need for you to do that. Wait, you're Canadian too? Yeah, I am. I said as much in my debut stream, so it's not a secret. What clued you in? I don't believe I've mentioned being Canadian in this stream, so is it my VTuber palette? I know I'm sort of Canadian colored with all the red and white. Anyway, Les Mis. I think that one of the most famous and certainly pivotal scenes from Les Mis is a part of the prologue when I guess to sort of give up the talk like to sort of just give you an idea of the general premise of the story. The story is about it's fundamentally about like the protagonist of Les Mis is a man named Jean Valjean, who has served 19 years in prison for stealing some bread, and he after getting out, he's on probation, but finds that he can't find any employment because of his criminal record. So he's very disillusioned and desperate, and he ends up finding himself at a monastery, or like a what church, or like I don't know exactly what kind of church it is. It's like non-Christian here, remember? Where the bishop takes him in and offers him a place to stay, like a night, like lets him stay for the night and offers him food and shelter that he was really in need of. And unlike the other townspeople who were cruel, who rejected Jean Valjean because they saw his criminal record and they feared him, the bishop shows no fear at all and just is completely open to Valjean. And in the middle of the night, Valjean sees an opportunity, and he decides to steal the bishop's silver so that he can sell it off and get rich. But his plan, but things don't go as planned. He's caught by the police, and they drag him back to the bishop, and Valjean thinks like, oh no, like it's Jover. Like I already served 19 years in jail. I was on probation, and now I'm caught stealing. So I'm just gonna I'm gonna rot in the gallows for the rest of my life. And he's sort of like resigned to this imagined fate. And to his surprise, the bishop lies to the police officers and says that the silver was a gift from the bishop to Valjean. The police let Valjean go, and Valjean is like absolutely stunned. He can't imagine how or why the bishop would lie on his behalf, and like that, because that is such a noble gesture, the likes of which he's never experienced before. And he's fully aware that if the bishop had told the truth, like if the bishop wanted, he easily could have condemned Valjean to a lifetime of imprisonment, but he didn't. And the bishop tells Valjean, unfortunately, I don't have the lyrics in front of me. If I could read them out, it would be... if I could read some of them out, it might be more impactful. But the bishop tells Valjean that he has bought his soul for God. And from then on, Valjean basically, he had... What is it called? He kind of has a spiritual awakening and dedicates the he swears to live the rest of his life as a man of God. And spoiler alert, he does do this. He just keeps to this oath for the rest of the story. And in what ways this manifest is basically, if you can find out if you watch or read Les Mis, but it's quite the story. And I think Victor Hugo was I'm not a Victor Hugo biographer, but like many other authors and artists of the 19th century, I wouldn't be surprised if he was strongly inspired by Jesus. And I think that like Les Mis is definitely a very Christian story. It like God comes up in a lot of the lyrics. I think the story, and especially the prologue scene with the bishop, is just one of the best. I think that it's just one of the best and most powerful examples of unconditional love, like outside of the Bible itself. Your French felt very Canadian. Oh, interesting. I've never been told that before, and now I just took a moment to wonder, like, what about my French sounds Canadian? Tia and I are Canadian. Yes, Frost could hook up some AI transcriber or meeting summarizer, take audio for him. It's not worth it. You can always catch up on my VOD later. That doesn't justify relying on the clankers, in my opinion. Wow, that's something I would never have noticed being an American. I would never have noticed being Canadian either. That's why I'm wondering. That's awesome. Same here. Some of our prior streams have us talk about our Canadian adventures. Tia slowly turning into theologian. Am I? Well, I am interested in theology. I don't try to talk about it constantly or anything. And hello, by the way, Web of Concepts. Fahim, great example. Thank you. I'm glad you think so. And then next example, that was timed nicely with the song. I finished. I pretty much managed to wrap up my my speech in time for the end of the song. Let's see if the next one is as well timed. Wait, I gotta Frost says, it's like more open-mouthed French, like less throaty French. I don't know how to place it, but you kind of see it if you compare Carney's French to actual French. Okay, I think, yeah, I think that gives me an idea of what you're talking about. I'd have to, look up examples and to sort of analyze them to make, so sort of have a clear idea. All right. The next example... Gainsborough from Final Fantasy VII is, I think, one of the most infamously unconditionally loving characters in history, really. Not just video games, but history. I think that she's famous enough of a character, especially in the gaming sphere, that you could kind of point to her, like you could just kind of like gesture generally at her, and like everyone would or understand sort of like what you're talking about, like that like if you're using her as an example of unconditional love. For those who haven't played, sorry, I just suddenly got some heart palpitations. For those who haven't played, for those who aren't familiar with FF7, Aerith is unlike with some of the other examples, like in in today's stream, there's not like I guess there's not really one specific act she does I can point to as being unconditionally loving. It's more just her general like attitude, the way she carries herself, the way she talks to people, like at all times. Like in general, she is like kind of a person who is sort of detached and above it all. She's focused on sort of the truth and the greater good. She has personal feelings, just like anyone else, but ultimately, she doesn't live her life in pursuit of fulfilling her personal feelings. She is the kind of person who is willing to sacrifice, her convenience and even herself for others, which is very unconditionally loving. And she doesn't, not that unconditional love has to involve like personal, like large amounts of personal sacrifice, but she, earlier we were talking about like loving your enemies. Aerith, I feel like an important aspect of Aerith is that she doesn't hate anybody. Like if you just look across the entire story of FF7, she never holds a grudge against anybody. She never exhibits spite or resentment against anybody. She is always focused on trying to see through to people's better nature and treat them with a certain kind of like knowingness or understanding. I think the result from an out-of-universe perspective is that everybody who plays Final Fantasy VII experiences like Aerith's character as like a healing force. Like she is just so, she's just such a blessing to witness that it just extends out. It extends beyond the characters within the game, and it reaches us. I think. Now I'm at a loss for words. Out of words now. I'm sure there's more that I could say. I'm not sure how I could do so without repeating myself. I think. Should I go into spoilers here? I mean, the game. The original game did come out in 1997. I mean, she's killed by Sephiroth, and even then, she doesn't show any signs of hating Sephiroth from like beyond the afterlife, or anything like that. And she doesn't seem to have any regrets or fears about her destiny or about sort of sacrificing herself in a way that's very detached and very different from the average person. her sacrifice is not a waste. It actually ends up saving the world. And her presence, her bearing in general, is such a boon. It's an emotional boon to the other party members. It's a boon to everyone she meets. Then the world she's in would simply not be the same without her. The way that she is, it's just so crucial, so indispensable to the world just being a slightly less bad and more bearable place. That's the kind of character that Aerith is. So even if you can't necessarily point to one thing that she does that's being sort of like a grand act of unconditional love, I think just the idea of her in general is once again, you could just point to her and every gamer would understand what it is that you're talking about. That one was kind of hard to talk about. I'm not sure I did a great job with that one. Webb asked, is unconditional love willing the best for someone even if they don't deserve it? Not implying that it entails letting people get away with bad stuff. You're close. I'd say that's 80% correct. I would offer a small correction. That unconditional love is willing the best for someone because everyone deserves it. Everyone theoretically deserves unconditional love. And I will expand on that later. But I agree on the part that not implying that it doesn't entail letting people letting people get away with bad stuff. I will also expand on that part later. It's every small thing she does as well. She might be selfless, but she also makes sure Cloud felt like he had a friend through it all. She's a lot like Mother Teresa. Crisis Core makes me even more teary when I think of Aerith because you get to know her better in that. Yeah, I guess you kind of do. I mean, you certainly see her when she's younger, and yeah, I guess there is a slight more focus of her, focus on her in the plot, and because she's younger, I feel like you get to see a more vulnerable side of her, more of her development as a person, and then the ending. I never played the original Crisis Core. I played the remaster, whatever it's called, that came out a couple of years ago. The ending scene when you-know-who kicks the bites the dust, and Aerith, because she's connected to the the live stream, she knows what happened right away, and she stops what she's doing and prays. And it's been 5 years in universe since the last time she's seen this person. So and she's like, I mean, if you've played the main FF7, it's not a surprise, but it's like for the player, it's like, the last time you saw her, she was just kind of still a little teenage, string bean, and she's so beautiful. After 5 years, she's a grown woman, and she's praying, and tears are running down her cheeks, and it's so tragic because she waited all that time, and she became she's so beautiful, and I'm not gonna bother with the pretenses anymore. It's so tragic because Zach doesn't know what he's missing out on, and it's just he'll never know, and Aerith is waiting all that time faithfully, and it just ended in tragedy. That scene left a really big impression on me, as you can tell. Fuck, I suck. I never played FF7, so other than knowing memes, I know nothing about it. That's okay. I myself only played Leon and I, we only played FF7 when Sephiroth came out, like for Smash. So like about 5 years ago. And Axe told me he hasn't played the games either, but obviously the games are so famous that like even if you haven't played the games, you probably recognize a lot about them through sheer like pop culture osmosis. So I might try to get Axe to stream it on his channel sometimes. Sometime. I feel like he would enjoy the original FF7. Aerith is peak. Clouds needs to work on himself. He kind of does. He kind of does. But I think Leon and I both like Cloud and Tifa. By not deserving, I mean people not living up to what you expect or want them to be like. Yeah, that's like. Yeah, like if you define it that way, I would agree. It's just that's not what I would call not deserving personally. Sorry, Tia, you're demoted to my background audio. I'm firing up FF7. Would you recommend the remake? I was looking at those, but the time I just don't know if I have the focus time anymore. Okay, this is just my this is just going to be my opinion. I'm sure a lot of people would disagree, but I think even though the remakes have some really nice scenes in them, I think that as an overall package, the original is better. Due to how, I mean, for one thing, the remake is like split into 3 separate games, and that means like a lot of money and a lot of time. Even within each individual game, I feel like the story is just like the pacing is just like worse because there's just more filler and padding. Like, whereas the original FF7 is a more self-contained experience. Like I would say like definitely original if you want to like experience the like and understand the story, and then like remake only if you have like the money and the time, and if like bad graphics is like and stuff like that is like a deal breaker for you. Dude, that ending makes me so emotional. Yeah. For reasons, I'd say the original is worth it, especially when you generally get the lower price point. The remake games are great companions to the original. Yeah, the remakes are, I feel like they're, I mean, you can play them without having played the original, but I mean, having experienced both, I feel like the remakes are, you'll appreciate them more if you have played the original. I was crying aggressively when the Aerith flashbacks hit in Crisis Core during the last fight. I don't know if I was crying, but that hit hard. That was like that sucked so fucking bad. Watching that, I was like, it's like, ugh. Anyway, I should move on to the next example. Just give me a minute. Madoka Magica! Who here has seen this anime? It's a pretty famous anime, I think. What do I say about this one? This is not a new anime anymore, so I guess we'll go into spoilers. So if for some reason, no, no, you don't want me to talk about it. If you don't, yeah, if for some reason you haven't watched Madoka and still want to, you know, close your ears for this part. But your reactions. Axe says this is a good example too. Right in the heart again. I've never heard of these characters, but they do have a saintly vibe. Yeah, I feel like a lot of these characters do have a similar vibe. It's probably not a coincidence. It's we'll get into that in a minute. So, Madoka Magica is an anime about like a bunch of schoolgirls who can make contracts with the shithead and QE in order to become magical girls and fight witches. The twist is that when they inevitably succumb to despair, they will become witches themselves and have to be slain by other magical girls in what is sort of an incredibly tragic and insufferable vicious cycle. And Madoka is the main character, and she, contrary to what would be your expectations of from a magical girl anime, she actually is not a magical girl for most of the series. For most of the series, she is simply an ordinary girl with ordinary struggles and feelings, watching her other friends and peers become magical girls instead, and sort of witnessing their challenges and learning from their mistakes. And at the very end of the series, in the last episode, episode 12, Atashi no Saiko ni Tomodachi, my very best friend, she finally makes her contract. She knows what her wish will be, because magical girls get a wish in exchange for making a contract, and that wish can be like, metaphysically, it can be like pretty much anything. There's like the sky's the limit, the universe is the limit. Like nothing's I feel like anything is possible as long as it scales with sort of the like the power of your soul, or something like that. And it is established that Madoka's soul is especially like powerful. It is, possibly the most powerful soul to have ever existed in that universe. And so she makes a wish that no magical girls will ever have to become a witch again, in the process turning herself into a no longer mortal, sort of godlike figure called Ultimate Madoka, that you can see here behind me, and where she sacrifices her humanity, becoming the one who personally leads basically dead magical girls to salvation, so that they can simply rest in peace when they come to the end of their lives as girls, and not have to become monsters. And in the process, Madoka, she is, after making her wish, she herself is no longer human. She can no longer be perceived by other human beings. She is basically she's made the ultimate sacrifice, and like nobody knows about it except for like Homura. And I feel like this act of sacrifice is very much parallels the concept of Jesus. And I will bet anything that the creators like deliberately sort of like leaned on like Jesus, or like on purpose, you know what I mean. They sort of invoked that sort of imagery and on purpose. So I feel like in other words, I feel like Madoka is probably an example of unconditional love, in much the same way that Jesus is, sacrificing himself to save everyone in a certain manner. And like many other examples of unconditional love, or I should say characters who are unconditionally loving, who embody unconditional love, she just like with Aerith before her, she does not have any regrets or fears when it comes to her sacrifice. She's not like, oh, man, this sucks, I'm doing this hesitantly or reluctantly. She is, completely okay with her choice, even if certain other people are not okay with her choice. And as we've witnessed here with some of the reactions in chat today, I feel like Madoka as a character and Madoka's like the scene of Madoka's sacrifice is also just it's just a moment in media that has had such you know, such a profound cultural impact. I like I think that like I don't think Madoka has by now it's you know become one of the most famous you know and culturally recognizable anime, and I don't think it would have had that impact if the series had ended differently. I think it comes down to the power of Madoka's choice that it's just left such an impression on people. Especially the main character and her favorite edgelord girl. When I started the show, I thought I'd never get over the chomp. You know, chat. But then the show continued to get worse in a good way. I already knew about that part since I like watched the show like years after it first came out. But it was still like definitely I sort of was spoiled in parts of the plot already, but it was still worth watching for the execution of some of those scenes, even if you know sort of roughly what's gonna happen. Oh, Nick Anelli says, I don't think I have unconditional love for all, but I do feel I have an unconditional respect for life. I believe everyone is human, and being human unconditionally gives you rights. I think that's a good place to start at the very least. I'm not saying that you know what? Hello, by the way. I think this is your first time here and on my channel. I'm Tia Faire, idol philosopher and justice incarnate. So I hope you'll stick around and hear my arguments as to why everyone should try to be unconditionally loving. And I'm curious to hear if that changes anything for you, or if that mostly aligns with your existing beliefs. All right. Next example. I think I know what it's gonna be. Okay, the next one, I think, well, after the last few examples we've had, I feel like the next one will kind of like probably come out of left field for most of you. I wonder if there's anyone in chat who will have seen this one coming, but get ready. This was the cultural example of unconditional love I'm sure everybody was expecting. Naruto Uzumaki from the hit anime and manga series Naruto. So far, I feel like a lot of our, when it comes to pop culture, our examples of unconditionally loving characters have been female. And this one is male, to sort of buck the trend. I did kind of want to try to include at least one, you know, popular male example, because I don't think that, you know, unconditional love is something that, you know, only, you know, like a certain gender can exemplify or anything, like, you know, or anything like that. Ooh, Naruto, I can see it. Oh wait, I missed some comments here. I'll catch up with them after, because I wanna continue talking for now. So Naruto, unlike some of the other more cliche examples of unconditional loving characters, is not he's not saintly, he's not polite, he's not, you know, feminine, he's not refined, you know, he's not, you know, like he's not any of those things. He's not like Madoka or Aerith. But he is a very loving person. He, it's like Fahim says. It's literally like Fahim says. Talk no jutsu is a meme for a reason. So there's a common like shonen genre trope of like not killing like enemies, not killing the villains, and then just like forgiving them and then they become good guys. And I feel like Naruto is one of the best embodiments of that trope. The series, like, yeah, like practically all the villains in Naruto like have a chance to be forgiven, and they either become good guys or they like repent for their like they basically have remorse for what they've done, and sort of they have like just before they die. There's hardly any villain in Naruto who's just evil, completely evil until the very end. You can almost count them on maybe like one hand. Naruto himself is how do I say this? Yeah, he's a loving person. He's definitely like, you know, he's like hot-blooded and sort of you know, can be a bit temperamental, but he doesn't hold grudges. He despite having despite being growing up being hated by all of the other villagers in the Leaf village, because he is the host of the Nine-Tailed Fox. He doesn't live his life carrying resentment on his sleeve. Instead, he is constantly like optimistic, and this translates even to the way that he treats his enemies. He's very willing to listen to and hear his enemies out, and sort of try to understand what they're coming from, and like try to seek forgiveness before taking the nuclear option. And like this, despite being a very like hot-blooded person. And I feel like there's no other antagonist in the series whose relationship with Naruto exemplifies Naruto's the themes of the story and Naruto's character better than his relationship with a certain edgelord with magical eyes. And for those who are familiar with the series, I'm sure you already know exactly who I'm talking about. It's Sasuke Uchiha, Naruto's rival throughout the series. And for those who are not familiar, the main plot of Naruto involves basically Sasuke. In part one of Naruto ends with Sasuke betraying the Leaf Village, and basically the entirety of part two is about Naruto's quest to try to reform like Sasuke and bring him back to the village. And there are like there's like rising tension involved, like between like Naruto and the other characters who largely see Sasuke as irredeemable and who just want to put a stop to him. And Naruto is the one character above all others who is like, no, Sasuke is my friend. I'm not gonna give up on him. And the thing is, at the end, Naruto does succeed. Sasuke does give up on his radical and murderous ways, and returns to the village. And it's only because Naruto held out for so long, and it took sort of like the biggest fight in the history of the Naruto world, and also Naruto and Sasuke each losing an arm. But they did it. And I feel like I should make a point here about Naruto fan discourse, because a lot of I've seen over the years, I've seen a lot of Western Naruto fans, particularly talk about how much they hate Sasuke, how much they think that Naruto should have given up on him much sooner. Like they don't really agree with the direction of the story. They don't understand why Naruto would still see Sasuke as a friend after being betrayed by him after all the shit that Sasuke's done. And I feel like that just speaks to maybe a cultural divide between the East and the West, and it speaks to what I said earlier about how I think that we live in a society where the mainstream we live in a society that favors conditional love as sort of the mainstream view over unconditional love, and I think an example of that, proof of that can be found in how Sasuke's redemption, or at least Naruto's efforts to redeem Sasuke, did not resonate with a lot of Western readers and Western viewers. But I think, which I think is a shame, because look no further than the fact that Sasuke, as an adult, does become a much better person and does become a protector of the village, and to see why, as an argument as to why, maybe it is good not to give up on people and to be unconditional loving until the very end. Alright, earlier Frost said, I try to practice love for all, but I find myself struggling with projecting my self-judgment on others and thinking that people who I don't agree with aren't putting in enough effort. That's a very, I think, a very human and a very honest take. It's difficult to challenge one's own biases. Yes, it truly is. I think it's very brave and self-aware of you to admit that, and I'm certainly not judging for you for that right now, because I myself try to be unconditionally loving as much and as often as possible. Ooh, Naruto, I can see it. I was here for the collab stream. I just had a different name. Also, Naruto. Oh, I see. Yeah, I don't recognize the name. See, I know I suck. So to love and respect those around me, gotta stay in my hole. No, don't say that you suck. I don't want you to say that about yourself. But if you feel that way, hopefully that's something we can work on. That can always change. Wait, sorry, Boruto's dad. That music hypes me up so much. Yeah, I know, right? To be fair, Zach was a great example of unconditional love too. He is he's not as famous as Aerith, but I think he truly is when he in how he wants to what the fuck was his Angeal? He wants to forgive Angeal until he's forced to kill him, and then he also wants to eventually he is forced to fight and Sephiroth, but more out of a need to stop him, less out of hatred or resentment. And then finally, his rescuing of Cloud and self-sacrifice to save Cloud is obviously a very unconditionally loving gesture. It's really hard, I think, to put into words how moving it was. Zack basically I don't know, dragging Cloud along with him when Cloud is in a vegetative state. Frost. Oh, and hi Tyler. Frost says, I think that's the whole point of Naruto. He refuses to give up on him even when most people would. And yeah, I guess what a lot of fans argue is they'll be like, yeah, but everybody else gave up on Sasuke, so Naruto should have as well. Whereas I guess for me, the argument is more that, well, Naruto's not giving up on Sasuke ended up having like positive consequences. So shouldn't that be sort of a shouldn't the lesson that we learn from that being that it is preferable to like not give up on people? Oh, Nikan. Hi, Nikan. Nikan says, I've seen more hatred towards Naruto being too naive and you know, than the series being made fun of for talk no jutsu. Same. You know, for all the things that you could sort of criticize the series for, I feel like Naruto like being too naive is one of the most common criticisms, and I feel like I've always found that really unfortunate. I find that really misplaced, and again, I think it's because in the West especially, we have such a dominant cultural attitude of conditional love that most people find it like totally alien and incomprehensible. The idea of like not giving up on a friend who has betrayed you, albeit a friend who is, you know, very troubled and you know, genuinely has a lot of reasons for doing what they do. Robo says, like, he wanted to give everyone something he didn't have growing up. Everyone gave up on him. He made sure he wasn't like them, but he didn't let it breed resentment in himself. That's a really excellent way of putting it. I really like that summary of sort of Naruto's motivations. I think you're right on. Yeah, in that analysis. Frost says, Zack was a naive puppy who believed in the good of all of the men around him, and Jill nemesis Sephiroth. Yes, he did. And Zack opens with kindness on everyone. Remember that conversation he had with that one Turk girl who was hunting him down? He believed in her even at that point. You mean Cisne? Leon is a big fan of Cisne. But yeah, like Zack... Zack... I was going to say, like, Zack is a very... I was gonna say something like Zack is a very fair person, and then I remembered his name is like literally Zack Fair, and like maybe that's why he's so aligned with his sort of his conduct is so aligned with the ideal of justice. Like his name is also fair. Like, but yeah, like Zack Considering that Crisis Core establishes that Aerith actually got a lot of her sort of habits and mannerisms and views on things from Zack as being a sort of her like boyfriend and older boyfriend and mentor figure, it might not be a stretch to say that Aerith even inherited some of her unconditional love from Zack. Not to say that she's not naturally that type of person herself. It's just I feel like it's you know, within the realm of imagination to think that maybe being around Zack and being influenced by him helped further strengthen that part of her. Nick and Ellie says, I would prefer to be more all-loving, but I think I'm too apathetic to ever be like truly all-loving. Also, how would like a normal person with no superpowered nemesis practice all-love? I feel like I'm going to try, if it's alright with you, I hope it's alright with you, but I'm going to try to answer that a little later on once I'm through with all the examples I wanted to discuss today. And then Nikan says, I feel like Celica and Milla from Fire Emblem also fit the criteria of unconditional love, but in Shadows of Valentia, it's portrayed as more as a flaw. I think you're dead on with that sort of take on things. I think that's right, because Celica is very, you know, anti-war. She's very diplomatic. She's like, you know, we need to exhaust all possible non-violent options first, and she is shown to take very much after Milla in this regard, and yeah, but it is yeah, in Shadows of Valentia, I'll say this. I've noticed that a lot of Japanese media feature the tension between love and power as a narrative theme. Like, which one, love or power, is more effective for you know, more effective or more suitable for affecting change around us. That's a theme of a lot of Japanese media. Whereas I feel like that theme is not quite, you know, it's not quite so common in Western media. And maybe that's because, once again, in the West, you know, a lot of people just take it as a given that power's the way to go. They don't consider unconditional love as an option. But in the stories, in the Japanese stories that do explore that as a theme, including Naruto and Fire Emblem, usually I feel like usually the answer, the message that the author you know, wants to push out is more sympathetic to the love side. But I guess in Shadows of Valentia, they do make it a little more of an actual debate. All right. The next one, I think, might be the last example, or is one of the last examples. Pyra and Mythra from Xenoblade 2. Now, I would actually consider, unlike some of the other examples here, how do you say this? Pyra and Mythra are more like Sasuke in the sense that there are less examples of characters who exhibit unconditional love and more examples of the amazing and radical things that can happen when you love people unconditionally. They are an example of the result of unconditional love. And they, especially Mythra, are actually some of my favorite fictional characters of all time. I am so inspired by them. Frost says, I gotta head out, unfortunately, Tia. Alright, thanks for the note, and I hope you have a great day. And thanks for coming. It was really great having your comments in chat today. Because we still have some good stuff coming up. I don't know why my model is freezing and stuttering so much today, by the way. I'll sort that out later. But anyway, I actually don't want to go too much into Xenoblade 2 spoilers. So this might prove a bit tough to talk about without that. But well, yeah, this one is really hard because I actually don't want to go into spoilers for this one. But what can I say though? Pyra and Mythra are characters who, at the beginning of the story, are very mysterious. Not very much is known about them as people. What we do know about them off the top is that they are very powerful and that they are widely feared and seen by many as more of an object or a living weapon than as people. And this you know, I guess reputation of theirs informs what is a lot of veiled low self-esteem on their part. And it's basically not until they're shown unconditional love by the main character that they're able to undergo some character development. And at the end of the game, at the very end of the game, it actually this experiencing of unconditional love leads to their being able to how do I say it, like do the commit their own ultimate act of unconditional love. So by experiencing unconditional love, they learn how to practice it themselves and do so. I know all that is terribly cagey sounding and vague. I'm afraid I can't really go into more details than that without actually spoiling the story. And this is one story I actually don't want to spoil, so hopefully that still made sense. What do we have next, actually? I don't remember. Let me... It was this, and then... I can remember... Wait, let me... I can remember the last two pictures I put in the gallery. I'm trying to remember what the next picture in my slide is in my presentation, so I don't mess it up. Yeah, audio and model capture are two separate things. Okay. Nice navigating around spoilers. Thanks. I did my best. I'm looking at all my pictures now. Like on my files, I still can't figure it out. I mean, I guess, what I could do is just click on the next slide anyway, and just like whatever it is, like I'll start talking about it. But I'd rather be prepared, you know. I can't figure it out. Wait, no, actually, I have a better idea. If I wait, is this okay? Good, this is disabled. You are completely silent? Am I? My OBS shows the mic thing, you know, the mic input. Like, what do you call it? The, not the waveform, but the I forgot the terminology for it. But you know what? Wait. I think I remember what the next slide is. So I think those were pretty much all the examples, cultural examples that I wanted. Audio levels, like, yeah, so whatever, something like that. I can hear you. Okay. Guess it's just me then. Yeah. Can you hear like the background music? Because if you can't hear, oh wait. Actually, had to back out and close the app. Okay. Oh, Fahim said if anyone's played Octopath Traveler 0, Princess Alaun is another great example for this topic. And yeah, Tia's right about it as a trope being prevalent in Japanese fiction. Oh, that's good to know. Another example that I wasn't aware of before. I had to restart the stream on my end. Oh, maybe it's YouTube just being funny. Your audio is fine. Can you hear yeah. Yes, now we're going to get into common wait, actually yeah, I think now we're going to cover common objections to unconditional love. So when faced with the idea of unconditional love, I feel like there are certain objections and challenges that people often give, and I'm going to try to address them now. There are 3 objections in total that I want to cover, and one of them is the if I enable this, will anything be funny? It is a little bit funny because I resized my Clip Studio Paint window recently. You know what? Can you continue to love someone who conscious? Okay, yeah. Yeah, now okay, we're now we're getting into objections. So if you have any questions about about unconditional love, you have to clarify, like any clarifying questions, or if you're like, I don't know if this thing is right, I don't know if I can do this thing, now's the time for that. You know what, this is good enough for now. I want to be able to write on the screen because I don't have any visuals for the next section, and I don't want it to be sort of like bland visually. So it's taking so long to load. What the? No, that's you. What the? You can see the names of all my brushes on the side because I can't resize this window properly right now. Ugh. I don't like that. Oh. Writing while streaming is muzukashi. That looks like another C. Objections. I'm very picky about reading. No, okay, you know what? There's like a groove on my pen tablet, so sometimes it's hard to write or draw smoothly. Yeah, that's good enough, I think. I think maybe the first objection that I'm gonna get to is just gonna be the one that seems to be on most people's minds right now, or even just in general, and the one that I think a lot of people would find to be the most compelling. So the one that I have in mind is the concern that if we love people unconditionally, that means enabling bad people. Or we can say bad people or behaviors. Because isn't this it's on my face. Oh wait, no, wait, no, this is what I'll do. Okay, it won't be on my face if I move this here. Okay. So you're here, I know. Okay. Enabling bad people / behaviors. Wait, now behaviors is really far apart from people. Because isn't this a concern that we all have? It's even come up already in chat today. So about this, I would say that let me actually, I want to revisit some of the things that have been said about this today. That'll help me sort of steer my thoughts. What was it? Someone said something, I think. I'm trying to find it. But I do recall Webb singing, unconditional love, willing the best for someone even if they don't deserve it, but not implying that it entails letting people get away with bad stuff. And then, I guess, and then, yeah, then I guess just recently Robo asked, can you continue to love someone who conjures memories and feelings of betrayal? Actually, now you have me wondering if I should talk about certain something before getting into objections, or maybe if I can combine it in objections together into the same section. Yeah, maybe I'll take a moment to sort of comment on and analyze broadly some of the examples that we've just seen. Where was I on the slideshow? You're not a fictional character. You're a real person. And no offense, but I don't think you're all too famous. I was trying to go for examples that would be culturally recognizable by, you know, millions of people. How do I go about this? I mean, okay. After seeing all of those, because there were like 6 or something examples, I feel like we should all have a pretty clear idea of what I'm talking about when I mention unconditional love as a cultural idea, as opposed to the dictionary definition of unconditional love. It doesn't refer to necessarily loving people like without any conditions whatsoever. I think it's more that, okay, how do I say this? I think that the idea of loving people literally unconditionally, that is like without any conditions whatsoever, is more in ideal sort of, you know, set or established by figures such as Jesus Christ, or like especially Jesus Christ in my view, whom we should strive to we should best I can't speak right now. I'm sorry. Basically, it's an ideal we should strive to like we should like try our best to live up to. The closer we personally can get to that ideal, the better it is, even if we inevitably fall short. And I do think it is inevitable in the same way that I mean, you know, as humans, you know, we're human beings, we're subjective creatures, we're imperfect. Jesus Christ, he was a god, but we're not gods, to quote one of my favorite book. Now I'm like, I don't like, even if Jesus was able to you know, love and forgive everybody perfectly, you know, for example, he told you know, he said you know, don't they know not what they do, even when he was, you know, dying on the cross. That doesn't mean that humans should be expected to live up to that standard 100%, or that we're bad people if we fail to, inevitably. I think it's just that okay, how do I... Leon, my husband Leon, who is Christian, I think he often is simultaneously amused and bemused by the way I speak about Jesus and Christianity, in part because of my, you know, lack of firsthand exposure to Christian teachings. The way that I always talk about this issue is that the difference between Jesus and like us, like you know, regular old human beings, like we regular old human beings, is that we can't respawn. Like Jesus was a god, so when he dies, he just respawned. So he doesn't actually have to fear the consequences of trusting people too much. Like nothing bad happens to him if he dies or like, you know, goes hungry or anything like that. Like he actually has nothing to be afraid of because he's all powerful and invincible. But humans are not. We're different. We can suffer immensely. We only have one life to live. We only have one shot. We have so much to fear compared to Jesus that it is reasonable for us to practice some level of restraint and have some reservations when it comes to who we love and trust. Because as much as it would be nice to trust everybody, we can't afford to get trust wrong. We don't want to trust the wrong people at the wrong time and lose our lives. And because of that, that's just I think that's just a quick note that I want to make about basically so now having seen all these examples, that's sort of my personal interpretation of what unconditional love is. I think it's an attempt to live to love others as freely and universally as we can, as sort of, you know, human limits and human mortality allow, you know, even if we don't do it as perfectly as Jesus, you know, that's fine, but it's important to try. And I hope that makes things clear. I am actually going to try to move on to objections because I see that people are already doing so. So loving people unconditionally for me does not mean enabling bad people / behaviors. I think a lot of people make that error. They're like, well, if you love everyone, does that not mean just, you know, agreeing with them even if they like murder people or something? This aspect of unconditional love, I know I have spoken about on stream before. I can't remember when. I think it might have been 2 weeks ago in the Vlosophy after party stream. But I think that I think YouTube is having issues right now, by the way, so let me know if you can hear me, or, you know, if not, then when we're back. I think that this concern exists because of the definition of love that we commonly hold in our society. That definition being of love as a kind of approval, it's sort of an approval, or like a badge. It's like a badge of like approval and affiliation. Like if you love someone, it means that you agree with this person, and I don't think that's what love should be. You know, I mean, if you do define love that way, then it makes sense to not want to love people who do things that, you know, who you don't agree with, or do things that you don't agree with. But I think I define love more as compassion. It's more a desire. It's basically having other people's best interest in mind and desiring like not to see them suffer and to try to minimize their suffering. And with that in mind, I would say that basically unconditional love does not conflict with the imperative to stop bad people or stop bad behaviors, essentially because of what Nikan has very wisely put in chat, that if you care about someone, you have to hold them accountable for bad decisions / behavior. And to me, that's exactly right. I think that if you truly have someone's best interest in mind, that means if they're going down the wrong path in life, you have to stop them. You can't just let them continue doing what they're doing. You can't let them be a bad person. Just like with Naruto and Sasuke. Like Naruto, you know, in viewing Sasuke as a friend, he sees Sasuke going down the wrong path in life as a criminal and seeks to stop him, to almost save him from himself. Not to save him from Naruto, but save him from himself. And that is the unconditionally loving way of doing things. And I think this is something that just like a lot of people don't get, unfortunately. Like for example, we might be tempted to look at children who are spoiled by their parents as children who are very loved. Like, oh look, like their parents like don't set any boundaries on them, and like they buy them whatever they want. Like look how loved these children are. They're so happy they get whatever they want. But ask yourself, is that love if we have children's best interest in mind? Because the way that looks to me is no, it's not love, because if you spoil your children and don't set any boundaries on them, they will grow up to be very you know, undisciplined, you know, shallow people. You're by raising them that way, you're not letting them be the best version of themselves, and so that's not love. So so you should not just, you know, blindly agree with the people you love. If, you know, for example, they're saying things or asking for things like, you know, I wanna eat candy 3 meals a day. Like you shouldn't, you know, oblige requests like those. That would not be love. And so unconditional love actually very much aligns. Once again, it very much aligns with the imperative to stop injustice and stop immoral people and immoral acts. Robo says, maybe love is defined by each and every pairing on a situational basis. Love as we know it takes on many forms, and to define one's love does not limit or define others. I'm admittedly not sure what you mean by that, especially when you mean each and every pairing. Like I'm guessing that maybe you're referring to like the word pairing refers to like individual like relationships, like each relationship between two different people is unique from all other relationships between like other people. But yeah, I feel like that covers the first objection and what I see as the most powerful one. Another objection is that unconditional love. I feel like I should write all of these in the same tense. Give me a minute. Ah! I meant to select the eraser. Another objection is that it doesn't work. Yeah, so I also see people say, well, how does unconditional love like work anyway? Because if you you know, clearly the only way to change people's minds is, you know, by enforcing it's through power, by, you know, sort of you know, enforcing harsh limits on them through things like, you know, criminal laws to deter them from doing bad things, and if they've done bad things, then to punish them and to make them scared of doing more bad things. It's through force and through violence. Like, how would being really nice to someone you know, like you like fix anything? Like, doesn't that like, isn't that enabling them? Like, doesn't that make problems worse? And I think that that concern can be answered particularly with the example of Les Mis and the exchange between Jean Valjean and the bishop. So I think that here we have to speak to how forgiveness and mercy, I think, can be really incredible, can be really powerful things to experience. Because the bishop basically forgives and runs interference for Valjean, and Valjean is so touched by this that he actually, you know, he turns over a new leaf. He becomes an honest man for the rest of his life, and because the I feel like the act of just being forgiven and trusted by others is just something. I think there's something just really powerful when it comes to like, I think the power lies in how like inspirational it is. I guess it's sort of this sort of I guess here we can sort of tie this into how into psychology, and how it's often been said that the way we treat other people is often a self-fulfilling prophecy, especially when it comes to children, and whatever labels we use on people often turn out to be true. So if we you know, sort of dismiss people, and we give them negative labels because we have low expectations of them, that might actually cause them to give up and continue being the bad thing that they that you think they are, because they don't see any hope of impressing you anyway. So there's no point in trying. And on the other hand, if we give them a good label to live up to, that can actually inspire them, and because now they have something to live up to. They don't want to let us down anymore. I think that the desire to live up to expectations and to not let people down is something that serves as a very powerful motivator. And so I think that it's a motivator that's tapped into when we you know, love people unconditionally, and you know, do our best to forgive them when they, you know, make mistakes. And like, I think that can actually be a more certain and a more long-term like, I guess, way of influencing people than using fear and violence. Because what happens with fear and violence is that if it works at all, it's really only in the short term, and once they are maybe no longer, you know, if you are the source of the punishment, then, you know, whenever you're not looking anymore, whenever you're no longer around, then the fear of punishment no longer applies, and the, you know, criminal can go back to doing whatever it was they were doing. And if like if you and I guess how I would say it is that, like, broadly speaking, if you have doubts that unconditional love actually has this power to change people and to get them to do what you want, think about how often people change their minds and do what you want when you scream at them or beat them up or call them names. Like, think for example of an internet argument. Like, if you screamed at someone and called them a bunch of, made personal attacks, like, how likely do you think that they change their mind and take your side? It's like pretty much impossible, right? Whereas with unconditionally loving people, even people you don't agree with, it may not guarantee that you'll get the results that you want, but it'll pretty much maximize them. Like that gives you the best possible chances of getting people on your side. I actually have an anecdote on this subject that I can share. So last month I did that hate speech collab with Axion on my channel, and I actually got a few hate comments for that, including one that was just sort of like a straight up personal attack. It wasn't even trying to engage with the ideas. It wasn't, it was just straight up like an insult. And I deleted it because it didn't contribute anything. But it also left me feeling really kind of bothered, or like wondering why someone would even do that in the first place. And so what I did was I tried Googling the username, like the of this person, to see if I could find their other socials, and I did. And I launched I sent them a message on Substack, and it wasn't like a mean message. Like I didn't scream at them saying like, you're a horrible person, how dare you, look for, you know, leaving a comment on my a hate comment on my video. I instead was like, hi, they were an artist, so I was like, hi, you know, I have no idea why, you know, I like sought you out because like I have no idea why you know, you'd write a comment like that on my video, but you know, I took a look at some of your art and your writing, and like I actually thought it was like really cool, you know, I wouldn't mind like, you know, discussing it sometime. And that person actually, believe it or not, that person actually messaged me back apologizing for saying something that evidently hurt me. And that was the outcome that I was hoping for and expecting. Once again, obviously, I couldn't guarantee that that would happen, but I had an idea, like I had this certain idea that it had a realistic chance of happening, and I was right. And that's just one story out of many, one story that happened to me relatively recently, but I think that just goes to show like the power of you ever heard of the saying, kill them with kindness? And so yeah. I believe that this is something that we can do more often, and that all of you can do, is to I guess this ties in a bit to the last objection. Like, we don't have to forgive people who do bad things, and we don't sorry, how do I say this? Like, I think I would actually be premature to forgive someone who isn't sorry. Like, I did not forgive the person who left a hate comment before they apologized to me. I did say, like, you know, I'm not sure why would you would say something like that, and you know, I wasn't attacking them, but my irritation was implied. But at the same time, I did not withhold basic respect from that person just because they hurt me or did something I didn't like. I still treated them, I still pretty much offered them the same respect that I would offer someone who, you know, treated me nicely, or who never said anything to me yet. And that helped foster like civil discussion, a civil interaction. So yeah, I kind of actually want to add a small note relating to the previous objection that I forgot to mention sooner. I actually would explicitly not recommending forgiving people who aren't sorry. I do think that forgiveness should be earned, and this is not incompatible with the idea of unconditional love. I think that okay, this is now speaking more directly to what Robo said earlier about can you continue to love someone who conjures memories and feelings of betrayal, and also what I said earlier. It's a continuation of what I said earlier, that we should try to come as close to Jesus as possible, but it's okay if we inevitably fail. I think you know, in terms of trying and inevitably failing, the word inevitably is so hard for me to pronounce. When it comes to what that looks like in the real world, like in terms of specifics instead of, you know, in the abstract, I think that you should try, all of you here, we all of us, we should try to love people, love everybody, freely and wholeheartedly, with the exception of people who have hurt us or hurt others irrevocably and without remorse. What does that mean? Here's a I'll start with a personal example because I think that's easiest. Many of you here already know that I am a child abuse survivor, and I was abused by my mother, and to this day, I have not forgiven my mother for basically ruining my childhood and almost condemning me to a life of serious physical and mental health issues because of PTSD, and just depriving me of the chance to develop certain life skills and healthy relationships earlier in life. The negative impact that she had on my life was so just monumental. It can never be taken back, no matter how much she wants to or how much I want it. And to this day, she has not properly apologized for all of this. She has not taken accountability. She has not shown what I consider to be an adequate level of remorse. She has mostly avoided, she has mostly made excuses and, avoided taking blame. And because of that, I don't feel safe around her, and I will probably never forgive her for the rest of my life. And I don't think that that makes me a bad person. I don't think that makes me less of a loving person in general. I think that that's smart, because it would be foolish to take back and trust someone who hasn't earned it, who hasn't shown that they unconditionally love you in return for your prospective love. I am not the only one here or around who has been abused or has been betrayed deeply by others, and I would extend the same wisdom to everyone else. I think that when it comes to someone who has personally broken your trust, someone who has ruined your life, someone who has ruined others' lives, whose maybe career is even staked on having a negative impact on the world, I don't think I think it's fine not to forgive those people. I think that unconditional love, in what unconditional love would look like in those cases, is if those people actually ever do apologize, sincerely and properly, and turn over a new leaf and face accountability, then we should forgive them. As maybe difficult and as awkward as that would be, it would be only right to forgive them. Although in truth, I think there are a lot of people out there, we can think of both famous people, such as maybe, certain politicians or business people, or as well as people in our personal lives who are so far gone that the idea of their just ever atoning for their crimes seems kind of like childish and laughable. I wouldn't count on it, but theoretically, if they ever did turn over a new leaf, I think that we should be compelled to forgive them. Ink Circuit says, "Hi guys, I am new here. Hello, welcome. Can I ask you something? If you're still here and it's not too late, sure, go ahead. Other people have been asking questions throughout this stream. I welcome all questions and challenges to this argument of mine about unconditional love." Oh, Nikan says, "I feel validated because I'm tired of hearing from therapists and relatives that I should forgive my brother." Oh, I'm really sorry to hear that. I can speak a bit more on this, and in fact, I think I want to. So, this is going to turn into another male loneliness discussion. So I just mentioned that I was abused by my mother, right? Which is a little sort of unstereotypical, because I feel like the stereotype of abusive parents is that it's the father who is abusive, and usually in a more like a physically violent way. I think our society has a bias against seeing women as violent or hurtful in that sense. I think like it's sort of tricky when it comes to women, because like gender stereotypes are not sort of like, I don't know, they're not like I was gonna say like unilateral, but like I don't think I'm using that word correctly. It's not like all of the stereotypes about men are like positive or negative, or like same for women. It's like some stereotypes are positive and some are negative for both men and women. So I feel like in some contexts, especially I guess when it comes to romantically scorned men, you'll hear talk like, oh, women can't be trusted, they're all like, they're all like lying and cheating, but in a lot of other contexts, women are trusted morally, or seen in a much better moral light than men are. And when it comes to parenthood is definitely one of those contexts where we as a society have a much better view of mothers generally, like morally, than fathers. And this is not going to be the main subject of today's discussion. This could furnish an entire stream of its own, like my view on this. But in short, I think that view is unjustified. I think that it's like Evie Devi says. Evie says, I'm sorry to hear about that. There have been many abusive mothers. Yeah, I think so too. And this is just not something that our society talks about enough, or is sort of willing to. I think is willing to confront right now. And this is all a somewhat long-winded way of saying that I've experienced, I can very much sympathize with the frustration and the invalidation that comes from people saying you should just forgive your abuser or whoever seriously wronged you because of our, cultural biases around gender. And, people, I think a lot of people just sort of like feel very, subconsciously that mothers just, are just, that mothers should be, we should just kind of like treat them with kid gloves compared to like to dads. Like they can't be that bad. Your mom, she was probably so nice. She was like trying her best. You just forgive her. And it's like, no, my mother is like a psychopath who ruins the life of everyone she comes into contact with. Her net impact on the world is negative. She's like, I wouldn't like. I wouldn't want anyone here to touch her with like a 10-foot pole. Like I don't want any of you to meet her. Evie Devi says, I think it's because many who grow up with loving mothers see them as more loving and caring, while less likely to abuse, not knowing what abusive ones are, though likely use stereotypes too. Yeah, that's part of it, and then that would be more getting into a general discussion about sort of trauma and challenges that trauma survivors face. But yeah, emails from a dead guy who owned an island are trusted more than alive female victims. Literally holding my tongue on this topic. Sure, I appreciate your restraint and in sort of not wanting to derail the stream. We will have, if it's any consolation, because I know it must be hard for you right now, we will have a more thorough discussion on this later on. I know you have you have strong views on the topic, but I do appreciate your restraint, and I see your frustration, and I do want to make space for you some other time. Leon is the only one here who has met my mother, and I don't want that number to increase even by one person. Tia's mother is a very unique person, Robo. I don't want to steal too much of the topic. I understand that feeling a bit. Don't like bringing my mom a lot. Yeah, I'm sorry to hear you also, you know, had issues with your mom. So it sounds like you can very much understand how I feel. I'm not. It would be really easy right now to continue talking about like the insane shit that my mother has done, but I just feel like I don't want to like trauma dump too much. Like it's I mean I say trauma dump sort of in a tongue-in-cheek way. I have sort of I've come to terms with most of my past trauma. I'm in a much better place now than I was a few years ago. So there's not much I actually want to dump at this point in terms of like actually needing to like get out bad feelings. It's mostly like at this point it's mostly just like really weird, like kind of like funny stories, like funny in a sad way, or like it would be funny if it wasn't sad. There's a lot more I could say about my mother in terms of if you need convincing as to why mothers can be terrible, but I don't feel I don't know that it's my I don't know that it's my job to convince you, or if I really at least right now, or if I have time for that right now, so maybe I'll save it. Nicanelli says, I feel like we are pushed to forgive family because of how central the nuclear family model is to our culture. You should only forgive people if you want to and you're ready for it sometimes. Oh, I see, you're probably prepping a follow-up comment. But yeah, oh, you were never ready to forgive someone. Yeah, sometimes you were never ready to forgive someone, and yeah, that's okay. Yeah, I would agree, really. And I think you're probably right about the nuclear family model. Yep, the point that you made about that seems very plausible, especially as it applies to, I think, like American culture. Yeah, anyway. There is a funny story I could tell about my mother right now. It doesn't have to do, it's a recent story. It's about what she's been up to nowadays. It doesn't have to do with my past trauma. So I'm okay. I'm not against telling it on stream because of that. And I was actually thinking about telling it on stream sometime. I just hadn't you know, I hadn't sort of like committed as to exactly when. Ink Circuit says, you know it's hurt when you genuinely love a girl, but even after a month of friendship, she can't even remember your name. Oh, I'm sorry if that's something you're going through or have gone through. I can very much sympathize with that. Let's see here. What was I talking about again? So it doesn't work, and yeah, so that was sort of a huge tangent relating to the, you know, enables bad people and bad behaviors objection. Yeah, so I think we're like largely in agreement here that there should be no expectation to forgive people who aren't sorry, and that not doing so does not make you a bad person. It actually would be foolish. It would be naive to forgive someone who wasn't sorry. It seems to me like we're all on the same page, at least when it comes to that. And so I'll move on to the last objection. The final objection is simply that how should I? What should it be? Should I feel like I should use a different word. And maybe I'll move this up too. It's kind of far apart. Yeah, it would be naive to forgive someone who wasn't sorry, because unlike Jesus, we're not invincible. We don't respawn. So if we forgive the wrong person, if we forgive someone who hasn't earned it, and then they like literally stab us in the back, like that's that's too difficult. Yeah, the last objection is simply that unconditional love, even if a person is starting to recognize why it might be sort of ethical and noble and all that good stuff, it's just too difficult personally to live up to practice. And I think that here I might just have to like bite the bullet and say that it is hard. Like unconditional love is hard. Like no doubt about it. We sort of already went through this. In the stream I just mentioned from 2 weeks ago, when I said that justice is hard, because the topic I think of unconditional love came up then as well. Oh, Ink Circuit just left a comment. Subscribe, you great content. It's 3 a.m. so sleeping time. See you again. Oh, you must be from way on the other side of the world. Thank you so much for tuning in and subscribing. I hope you have a great rest and hope to see you again. Jesus did have to clean up Peter's ear chopping though. Did he like literally like do you mean like figuratively, like he had to like smooth over the situation socially, or do you mean like literally in that he had to like pick up the ear? Because I feel like I can very much see Jesus being like, I know some guy just got his ear lobbed off, but everything's fine, people. Like no. There's no cause for alarm. Yeah, so I have to bite the bullet and say that yeah, it is tough, and I think that actually what is the best way to approach this part? I think that if somebody's objection to practicing unconditional love with this one, I think it would be probably the most honest one and really the hardest one to resolve or sort of like disprove with philosophical arguments, because it really is tough. It is, we as humans, we're just, again, naturally subjective creatures who are, wired to prioritize our survival. And so in a certain way, I think that being unconditionally loving is actually to try to learn to do something that runs contrary against our nature as animals, as natural beings. Unconditional love is very much a learned skill. It's in sort of the same vein as a lot of skills, as things such as a lot of other skills, such as like maybe math or literacy, in that humans have the capacity to develop math skills and to learn how to read and write, but we have to sort of have exposure to it and make sort of a concerted effort to do so. Otherwise, if we are just raised in the woods with no education, then we will not develop the skills to do those things. And I think that most people have the capacity to learn how to love unconditionally. I think that just in practice, most people never get there. I think once again, we live in a world where most people are not unconditionally loving, and especially in the West, this is in part underpinned by a sort of a cultural justification for conditional love. And Yeah, it is hard because it involves a what does it involve? I think it involves a very large amount of sort of emotional strength and integrity that I think is actually tough to cultivate. I think it involves almost it's like, is anyone here I know, like, if anyone here is maybe interested in psychology, has anyone heard of, I think it's like Kohlberg's theory of like moral development, which states that what was it? Basically, Kohlberg sort of outlines this what do you call it? It's like a chart. It's like a kind of like a hierarchy or a flow of like different moral developmental stages that humans go through from birth to like adulthood, but like most people never go through like it's not like you automatically, you know, move through every stage. Like most people get stuck like sort of in the middle, and then some people even get stuck near the beginning, and like they just never go beyond having like really selfish like toddler-like morality. And I'm not gonna name names. If you guys in chat want to, I won't stop you. And then likewise, very few people ever get to sort of the last or second last, the end stages of moral development, which involves like almost sort of like it's like a detachment. I actually hold on, give me a sec. I need to do something in OBS. Speaking of detachment, I'm gonna hide this now. Wait, actually, yesterday, Axe, I was helping Axion out with voice acting in this visual novel called Minds Beneath Us, which through sheer coincidence actually featured justice and to a certain, like by extension to a certain degree, unconditional love as themes, rather unexpectedly. And this quote came up during yesterday's stream, which was the finale, and I took a screenshot of it at the time because I sort of made the connection in my mind with my planned stream for today, and was like, ooh, I think I could use this for today's stream. So there's this character named Lawrence who undergoes a lot of character development over the course of the story, and he starts out as being a very, very emotional, very like impulse-driven character who doesn't kind of his definition definition of justice is little more than revenge. He doesn't sort of act in service of the greater good. It's more just like whatever feels right at the time. And then after going through character development, he says, if I really want to do something for the world, a degree of detachment is necessary. And that is, I think it's true. And I think this really strikes at the heart of why unconditional love is so difficult to practice and really so rare a quality to be found in the human population, and that's because detachment is necessary, and detachment is hard. If you know anything about Buddhism is all about sort of detaching from who you physically are and from your material desires in order to achieve like nirvana and become more Buddha-like, and all like whether or not you're approaching this from a spiritual framework or not, or if you're just doing it from a more like Kohlberg's theory scientific way. Either way, like, moral development is hard. Most people never reach the end stages, and as such, I will admit, it is, as much as I am sort of very fervent about promoting this philosophy, I am naturally skeptical as to whether we'll ever live in a world in which the majority of people are unconditionally loving. I think it would be really amazing and solve a lot of our problems. But I wouldn't bet my money on it happening. My hope is at the very least to increase the amount of people who are unconditionally loving, even if it doesn't sort of reach a majority. I think just any increase or improvement in this area is a win. But yeah. Let me catch up with chat. I mean, off topic, are you streaming the State of Play tomorrow? I'm not. I'm a Nintendo person. I would mirror, no, not mirror, but I would stream my reaction to a first party Nintendo Direct. That's what I'll say about that. Robo said, now my parents weren't perfect, but one thing both my mom and stepdad, without trying, was unconditional love, what it looked like and how it felt. The kind of love that means when a 10-minute I think your comment maybe got cut off a little bit. I think there are some words missing. We can go right back to talking about what's for dinner. The news, anger didn't last, smiles never denied, emotions would swing, but the love and care never faded. Yeah, I think that's I mean, that also crosses over and maybe into familial love, but I think that is sort of that can be unconditionally loving too, just always a persistent and omnipresent peace and forgiveness, because you don't hold grudges, you're always focused on the greater good. Tyler says, I'm back from making fun of Karis, I hope I didn't miss too much. Actually, I had an anecdote to tell about Karis in relation to all this, of all people, believe it or not, but I forgot. Let me know if you guys are still interested in hearing it. I feel like Robo, and if there are any other Karis viewers here, I feel like you guys might be interested in it. Evie says, I think unconditional love comes from people who simply enjoy helping others smile. Starts with that. Yeah, that brings up an interesting point. I would say that certain people will be naturally more predisposed to want to unconditional love or to be better at it than others. I think it really, a lot of it hinges on whether or not you just like helping other people, which, that's not everyone's, personality type. That's a cool quote, yeah. Axe says, yeah, there was surprisingly a lot of content about justice in that game. There was. It was really an unexpected but really welcome treat for me. Nick and Ellie says, when you say detachment in this circumstance, are we talking about being impartial? So, what I'm talking about is I don't know that impartial would be the best word to use in this situation, but I see why you're using that word. I think a better word is objective, as Mike Humer says in his book Knowledge. Is it knowledge? Wait, no, the book is behind me. I can look at it. It's knowledge, reality, and value. I'm always like not sure if it's like knowledge, value, and reality, or knowledge, reality, and value. But it's knowledge, reality, and value. Okay. As Mike Humer says in his book, Knowledge, Reality, and Value, objective and impartial are not the same thing. You should strive to be objective. That doesn't mean that you should be impartial or that being impartial is good. Because when you're objective, because I mean, sometimes in life there are things that are good, and there are like two sides, and like one side is actually good and one side is actually bad, and being objective means that you will take the side that is good. So I guess when we're talking about detachment in this circumstance, being sort of like personally detached rather than attached, it does not refer to apathy, which I feel like impartiality is very related to. As I feel like beyond a certain point, if you're impartial, you're basically saying like everything's the same and like I don't care and I'm not doing anything. That's often sort of the end result of sort of impartiality taken to an extreme. Fahim said, I've got to duck out. Thank you for the stream, Tia, and great job overcoming your anxiety forward. Thank you. You picked some great examples to demonstrate your point. As for objections, fine defense. I already agree, so this isn't easy. So, Xenoblade fans and Unconditional Love. Name a more iconic duo. Is that the book on your table, Tia? It's not on my desk in front of me. It's on the it's on my like nightstand behind me. But yeah, what was I gonna say? Impartial. Yeah, so when we're talking about detachment, we're not talking about neutrality or impartiality. It's more like being objective, which means that, and this is part of my definition of justice in general. I did a stream on this once already, but basically, I think justice is I think justice requires the presence of objectivity, compassion, and action. Yeah, I lost my train of thought. The book at the bottom of the screen, silly? No, that's no, that's my my diary. You can't read it. Hands off. Okay. Detachment. It just means being objective. Objective. As opposed to being subjective or being sort of being guided by one's relative truth. It's important. I think sort of a prerequisite for being unconditionally loving is to have at least some level of detachment. Just like the quote says on screen, some at least. No one can be completely detached. Okay, like that's not possible. It's not like physically possible for human beings. But some level of detachment from one's like personal feelings, especially negative ones such as, you know, grudges, resentment, spite, jealousy, things like that. Your judgment absolutely cannot be clouded by those kinds of impulses. You need to put some you need to be you know, basically it helps to have like a philosophical mindset. If you can't read your diary, it should really be off screen though. Well, can you read it? If you can, what does it say on it? Tell me. Yeah. Next slide. So some of you have seen this, should have seen this before. This was one of the memes that we made and posted on Reddit as part of our Vlosophy promotional campaign last month. And Robo says, I swear my train of thought must be run by Norfolk Southern for as much as it goes off the rails. I'm bringing up this one in particular because of what I wrote back then. At this time, I hadn't done my my stream on unconditional love. I mean, the stream hadn't taken place yet, but my views on this already had, you know, existed. And my answer for this one was just sort of a the briefest possible summary I could give as to my views on what love is to me. Love to me is in as few words as possible the bravest thing you can do and the strongest force in the world. The first part of that alludes to what we've just been talking about within our objections. It's the bravest thing you can do. Like, justice is hard, unconditional love is hard. It's hard because we are mortal fleshy beings who are concerned for our survival, who can suffer and die in a lot of ways. We naturally want to like avoid, you know, trusting the wrong people. And it's the bravest thing you can do because it actually involves so much personal strength and integrity in order to live life with that confidence, with enough strength to trust people, you know, because you have this understanding that, you know, you can handle, you're strong enough to handle everything. And Yeah. And as for the second part, the strongest force in the world, now we're gonna get into the last major section of the stream, which involves the purposes of unconditional love. And to that end, I'm gonna hide the slideshow again and go back to Clip Studio Paint. So I'm getting a bit tired, so I'm gonna try to make this next part brief. I don't think it should require much in-depth explanation anyway. So, purposes of unconditional love. What is this useful for? Why should we do it? The first one relates to a stream I did a couple months ago, which was not a very good stream. I think I didn't have enough. I was really anxious and didn't have a lot of prep time, but here we go. Who here likes capitalism? If you do, you're probably in the minority here, because young people these days infamously hate capitalism, and for good reason, in my opinion, as Justice Incarnate. I did a stream a couple months ago all about how to solve capitalism, and I rambled about the topic for like 2 hours, and in retrospect, I feel like I probably could have summed up my main points in a couple of sentences, which are what I will say today. So, I think that one of the possible solutions to capitalism is to normalize the idea of unconditional love in our society, and vice versa. That one of the purposes of unconditional love, of spreading unconditional love, is to sort of delegitimize the profit motive. Yeah, it's not my favorite thing ever. Yeah, you're probably among friends here, Nick and Ellie. So, the profit motive. And like the meritocratic, or like the sort of like meritocracy related arguments for capitalism pretty much hinge on conditional love. It hinges on this sort of presumption that human beings are paid whatever they're worth, and worth being defined by how able you are, your skills, what you're able to contribute to society, your income, how much money you make. But unconditional love says none of that is true. Humans deserve, fair and respectful treatment no matter what, even if they're poor, even if they're homeless, even if they make no money. That has nothing to do with what someone, fundamentally deserves when it comes to, basic respect, basic rights, and I'm going to sound a little socialist for a minute, but basic needs, I would like to say. Yeah. I'm not going to say that this is the only possible solution to capitalism out there, given that we just established that I think a world where most people are unconditionally loving will be hard to come by. But I think we can acknowledge that a world in which unconditional love was the norm would be one in which capitalism would be very difficult. Like, capitalism would have a hard time surviving in, because it's just so incompatible with the idea that all people are inherently and worthy and deserving of care, of a certain basic level of care. Capitalism holds power now, and power decides how we live and struggle. If power was held by something else, we would hate it as well. Maybe. I guess what I could say to that is unconditional love is not a form of traditional power at all. It is powerful, but it's not power as we understand it. It's not a currency or a medium by which we force other people to do what we want. It's sort of like love is kind of, it's in a way it's like anti-power. And then the next purpose. So, I don't want to put anybody in chat on the spot, but I feel like this is something that maybe some of you need to hear. I feel like one consequence or you know, of a lack of unconditional love, or at least evidence that we don't believe in it in our society, is the ongoing culture war that and you know, the which is, you know, referring to I guess largely how do you define culture war? Do I have to? I think like most people here like know what I'm talking about when I say culture war, but I guess the ongoing tension between I guess the political divide that is happening along like identity lines, the identity politics sort of crisis in our society. What you see in this culture war is that it is very common for people to have the attitude, like I think the culture war is perpetuated in part by the normalization of conditional love in our society, where a lot of people on all sides of the culture war have this mentality that the people on the other side are pure evil and they're the worst people in the world and they have no rights and they deserve anything, like anything and everything bad that's coming to them. There's just an absolute like shortage of compassion for people on the other side. To that, and I'm not again, this is again with now I feel like now all of my streams like are in danger of turning into male loneliness streams. I'm gonna try to keep this brief. In response to that, what I'll say is that no war but class war. There is one struggle that is really crucial for us to fight right now, and the game Minds Beneath Us was sort of you know, about this. I think had a message to say about this, but the struggle that is the most sort of threatening to our like existence and our rights as people right now does not have to do with like our main enemies are not other regular human beings who have their own nuances and struggles just like we do, you know, even if they're perfect, but you know, we're not perfect either, so who are we to judge? I think that in a world that was more unconditionally loving, I think that it would be it would be easier for people to band together and fight against the enemy that needs them probably the most fighting right now, in my opinion, which has a lot to do with this. I think that's not showing up on the screen. Is everything okay on YouTube wise? Or is it, I don't know if it's YouTube or Clip Studio Paint or maybe OBS that's having the issue. Oh wait, actually, I think I know. That was really weird. For some reason, when I tried drawing in black, nothing happened. It doesn't show up on the screen. But yeah. And then the last one. I'll put it this way. Hating, trauma, sir. It's going on the border. Survivors. It's a bit cramped, but that's okay. Somebody very conveniently alluded to this earlier in chat. Let me try to find that comment. I think it was Robo when you talked about your experiences with your parents. To which, by the way, I wanted to say that I'm really happy for you that you had that experience. But that does sort of bring us into the next part of the discussion, which is that how do I say this? So in life, in our daily lives, the time and the place in life when we are most likely to encounter unconditional love, or the closest thing to it, is in childhood, especially in infancy, as babies, you know, from our moms and dads. Tia, your perfectionism is so cute. Thank you. That's better than people's, like, especially Leon saying like I'm too hard on myself and I should stop. Well, maybe I am. Well, maybe they are right partially, but you know, I don't want to be criticized for it constantly. What was I saying? Yeah, so from their moms and dads, because because it makes sense, right? Your moms and dads it's part of their jobs to love you no matter what. It's crucial for normal, like, healthy human development to be like to experience unconditional love at that stage in life, you know, and it makes, I feel like it makes sense to define this as unconditional, as an example of unconditional love, because if you think about it, you know, if you define it as conditional love, then like what conditions exactly are motivating your parents' love for you? Because at that age, you're kind of like useless, right? You don't really have a lot of skills. You can't really fulfill anybody's needs. You're kind of just like a blob, a needy blob, and it's if your parents are caring for you, it's not because of a lot of sort of immediate or direct benefit, you know, for them, right? But nevertheless, unfortunately, not everybody is lucky enough to experience unconditional love as a child. I certainly wasn't. I'm sorry in advance if this, you know, triggers anyone, but I was actually abused and neglected from pretty much the time I was born, from the time I was a baby. It didn't even start when I was an older child. It was that way from like day one. And this is one of the reasons why my PTSD and my health issues are especially bad. Not all trauma survivors have health issues as serious as mine, but this has been why my case has been particularly stubborn and just sort of I guess like harmful. It's because trauma that starts that young affects you differently and much more seriously than trauma that begins later on in life. And the thing with trauma is that people who don't experience unconditional love at the beginning of their life still need to at some point later on. It's not like just because you weren't treated properly as a kid that when you're an adult, you know, it's like it's all bygones and you like never have to, you can just like move on as if like you had a normal childhood. It's like, no, you need to catch up on the positive experiences and the skill development that you missed out on as a kid in order to overcome your trauma and truly, you know, go on with your life. That's something that a lot of people don't understand. Not to turn this into a discussion just about trauma, because that's another thing I could have an entire stream about, and probably will eventually. I think that and that's a lot of sort of lack of understanding as to sort of what is necessary for like normal child development is one of the reasons why being a trauma survivor is so tough in this society, because a lot of people's the ignorance that a lot of people have leads them to have like very intolerant and discriminatory attitudes towards trauma survivors. Where you know, the fact that we live in a world of mostly conditionally loving people is basically disproportionately unfair toward trauma survivors, because people like me have an especially acute need to experience unconditional love in order to compensate for the lack of it from our childhoods. And so you know, while I think a world where more people were unconditionally loving would be sort of universally beneficial, it would be good for pretty much everybody, it would be one of the groups it would benefit most would be trauma survivors. And that includes you know, anyone here in chat who identifies as a trauma survivor. I think what I'm trying to say is that as tough, I think that as trauma survivors, practicing unconditional love can be especially tricky for us, because we once again, we didn't necessarily have that as an example growing up, and so it's like, how do you emulate something, how do you copy something that you've never seen, right, or felt or had? It's hard. But if we ever do sort of come into a position where we're able to practice unconditional love, that can actually, I think, directly benefit us and not just the people around us, because I think that unconditional love, very, very much like many other sort of emotions or, you know, psychological things in life, it's more of a, it is sort of, there is an intellectual component to it, but I think it is very much also a feeling and not just an idea. This is something that I've discussed with the Axion behind the scenes, the difference between rational ideas and what did I call them? Like sort of like lived experiences, and some people conflate the two, and some people sort of conflate the two and think that especially when it comes to like trauma survivors as one context, you know, people should like learn something right away just from hearing about the idea, but not everything in life is like that. For example, if you hear about basketball, that doesn't make you instantly good at basketball. If you hear about unconditional love, even if you understand what it means on paper, that doesn't mean you immediately become able to unconditionally love others. It's one of those things. And so but what happens if you do become able to practice it? You know, how do you feel? What does that feel like? And for me, as someone who I venture to say that I am able to I am able to love unconditionally. Obviously, not perfectly, not all the time. I am mortal after all. But when I am feeling it, it feels, I think it's a contender for best feeling in the entire world. It feels peaceful and freeing like nothing else. It's basically like it's just like pure catharsis, and you know, it just frees you up so much, because it's sort of the antithesis to all sort of negative attachments like resentment and spite and hate, such that if you were a trauma survivor, like I think like for trauma survivors, being able to feel unconditional love for other people would be really good for our nervous systems, because it would imply that we're letting go of that, we're able to let go of the resentment and the hate and the attachments that we feel toward people. Nikan says, I was spoiled through my childhood and considered genius in comparison to local kids, yet where I am now. Were you spoiled though? I mean, because being spoiled doesn't mean being spoiled like in terms of like money or I don't know, toys doesn't mean that you were loved, right? So when there's a lot of more modern child psychology written about this, where now spoiled children are actually considered victims of emotional neglect, because generally when children are being spoiled, it's because it's sort of like it's like because of, and also like comorbid with, what a hard word for me to say, comorbid with their parents emotionally neglecting them. So being spoiled is actually now considered a sign of emotional neglect. So it is totally possible to be spoiled and yet sadly unloved by your parents. But on what you said about being considered a genius, me too. Small world. I was also considered a genius or child prodigy or whatever it was growing up. I was placed in the gifted class. I had a high IQ, and yet I dropped out of school, and I wasn't doing anything with my life for a while until I became a VTuber. So I don't think you're sort of alone in that struggle. If it helps, something that you could do is look up the subreddit "Are Gifted." I think that's what it is for people who are classified as gifted. You might find some interesting dialogue from this discourse there. Another thing you can do is, have you heard of the YouTube channel Healthy Gamer GG? It's a channel run by a guy named Dr. K, who is a Harvard-trained therapist, and he's done videos. His target audience is basically like lonely young men. He's done videos about incel culture. He's done videos about gifted kids and like autism and a lot of similar topics. And I feel like if you haven't seen his video on giftedness yet, on the struggles of gifted people, I've seen it. I think it's one of his most popular videos, so I really recommend that one if you're not familiar with it. Robo says, "Oh yeah, speaking of spoiling, I make glaze the shit out of my parents. But there was a lot of time that a new toy or game meant I was to stay in my room alone for as long as possible. It was weird." That is weird, and I'm afraid we don't have time to unpack that right now. But yeah. Nikan says, "Oh, Healthy Gamer, yeah, you know." Oh, good. You've already heard of him. I hope his videos have helped you, because me, despite not being part of the target audience since I'm a girl, not a guy, his videos have helped me as well. Nick and Ellie say, also, can we go back to the culture war thing? I know the elites are the real enemy, but I find it hard to march alongside people who have attacked me and been bigoted against me and my siblings. I'm just trying to consider how to respond to this. Okay, I know this might be a hard sell. I think what helps is to keep in mind is that those people who are bigoted are also victims. In large part. Now, that doesn't mean that they can't also be perpetrators in certain contexts, or that they should have zero accountability. That's not what I'm saying. It's just that being not perfect doesn't mean that they're not also victims. And that's probably a sort of a key concept in all of this unconditional love business, that people are you know what, maybe I should move on to the next section. That would help me discuss this part. Yeah, I'm gonna move on to what if I recall correctly, is the final slide in my presentation. Let me just hide this stuff. This is fan art of Alyosha Karamazov, the main character of the Brothers Karamazov, which is my favorite book of all time by Fyodor Dostoevsky. I may have mentioned this book in passing on stream before, but I know for sure that I haven't really expounded on a lot on, you know, why it's my favorite book and what the philosophy of it is. But I've talked about it a little more, I think, off stream with my gen mates, Karis and Axion, and I think now's a good time to talk about this. This won't be, you know, obviously not a whole stream on the philosophy of the book and on Dostoevsky, but Dostoevsky was a massive proponent of unconditional love. He was a 19th century author, just like Victor Hugo, the author of Les Mis, and his views are largely informed by his biographical experiences. He lived in Tsarist Russia, like during which there was a sort of a certain sort of uprising in socialist and progressive ideas among the bourgeois youth of the time, echoing the same movement that had happened in Western Europe already earlier, and he became part of the intelligentsia that was sort of like trying to like rebel against the Tsar, and basically he got caught. Like his band of rebels, of revolutionaries got caught, and as a sort of act of intimidation, they were condemned to execution in Siberia, to imprisonment, to a few years of imprisonment, and then execution in Siberia, and it all turned out to be just a show of intimidation, nothing more. They were like lined up in front of like the scaffold or whatever it was, and at the I think it was actually not scaffold. I think it was in front of the firing squad, and at the last minute, the firing squad was called off. It turned out that the idea was just more to deter them from ever trying to be revolutionaries again through fear, rather than actually wanting to put them to death. And for Dostoevsky, it took. He got turned away from radical ideas such as socialism, which, I mean, if you consider the rest of the history of the history of Russia from then on, was pretty understandable and kind of woke of him in some ways. And he became sort of like a born-again Christian, being really deeply invested in ideas of forgiveness and mercy, no doubt, to the immense, you know, guilt and doubt that he was, you know, that his life events sort of gave him. And all of this is very much reflected in the Brothers Karamazov now. And actually, ironically, it is because the Brothers Karamazov means so much to me that I don't want to speak about it in too much depth today, because I don't want to spoil it or anything. I'm just gonna say that this book is, I think, is the world's best self-contained argument for unconditional love. it's a better argument even than like the Bible. It's certainly like arguably. I think at least it is for me. This is basically like the Bible to me, in terms of like role and impact, and role and impact, and oh, Nikan says, I may be from Russia, but I haven't read it. Maybe I should. I recommend. Wait. Actually, I would recommend it if it weren't 1,000 pages long. I think it's the original Russian is a bit shorter, but it is a very long book, which is why I hesitate to really recommend it to people, unless you really have an appetite for like sort of like academia and very like dense text. But yeah. You should have it on your radar. I won't force you to read it, but you should have it on your radar at least. Bratia Karamazov. But anyway, this book, yeah, the world's strongest self-contained argument for unconditional love, in my opinion. The main, I guess, one of the main messages of the book is that unconditional love, how the book defines or sort of paints the picture of unconditional love is basically that it is like it's like loving people as if you are God and they are children. That's sort of one way of putting it. It is a very Christian book, and it is and so the idea is you love people, you know, as if you are Jesus or as close to it as possible, and you're sort of treating people and like almost like pretending that they're children, in you're you know, not literally children, like not in every single way, but you're sort of treating them with the same sort of delicacy and sort of kind of understanding and regard with which you would treat children, the same sensitivity. And I feel like that would be, once again, I've been saying this a lot, but I feel like that would be a hard sell for our society, considering we kind of look down, we kind of live in an ageist society that looks down on children. We think of children being weak, and children being small and weak as something to be looked down upon, as opposed to humbling ourselves to the level that we think of ourselves as maybe as children, or as each other as children, as people sort of deserving of that sort of sensitivity and tender care. And that brings me back to what Nick and Ellie said. I find it hard to march alongside people who have attacked and been bigoted against me and my siblings. I know this is a hard sell, and please believe me when I say that I don't mean to sort of minimize or dismiss your concerns and your pain in any way. It is, in accordance to what I've said before, it is natural for you to want to prioritize your survival and safety and be wary. But if you want to understand how you can, at least in theory, unconditionally love, you know, those kinds of people, I think the answer lies in seeing them like victims and like children, because they did start out as children at one point, and then until something went wrong along the way, at some point they became, you know, no longer so good and innocent. But they used to be, and there is still some, I would say in most cases, if not every case, there is some remnant of that still within them that maybe under the right conditions we could sort of tap into. And yeah. And that's granted, that is very hard to do. I don't have a sort of an immediate expectation that everyone will go do this. Like I don't. Axe says, unfortunately I gotta go, but thanks for the stream. Interesting discussion. Let me know what you think about it later, Axe. Enjoy the rest of your day. And thank you for staying all this time. It really means a lot to me. So what I meant to say is that now I lost my train of thought. Yeah, I don't walk around thinking that people who don't practice unconditional love are like bad people. Like, I don't go around looking down on people because most people don't practice unconditional love. So that would mean I would have to think badly of most people, and I don't want to. I think it is especially hard. I think that practicing it is especially hard for maybe people who have maybe certain psychological disorders, like antisocial personality disorder. I think it's especially hard for trauma survivors, people who have like been through a lot in their lives and that have shaped their life experiences in certain sort of negative ways, or not life experiences, but whose experiences have shaped their like life, like their worldviews in sort of negative ways. People as well, and young people, because again there is sort of there's somewhat correlated. I think your capacity to love unconditionally is at least somewhat correlated with your general sort of psychological or age-based moral developments, where we all start out kind of selfish as toddlers. But for toddlers it's okay because that's normal when you're a toddler. It's less okay to be a selfish adult. And then so I think the capacity of young people to love love unconditionally is lower than older people, like broadly speaking. I think that like what do you call it, like well, in my case, I read the Brothers Karamazov in its entirety when I was about 24-25 years old. And that's when I became sold on the idea of unconditional love. I don't think that could have happened when I was a teenager. I'm not sure if it could have happened even when I was a few years younger, maybe. But I think that it is natural for younger people to be more attached to conditional love. I think that it is something that takes a certain amount of like wisdom and like life experiences in order to like really like get, like, you have to feel it. It's not enough to read about it in a book, and like you have to like live it and feel it, I think, in order to believe it. And that kind of just depends on what life experiences you have. If your life experiences give you the opportunity to live and feel it, I think that one thing this is again going back to the question of like, I find it hard to march alongside people who have attacked and been bigoted against me and my siblings. Here's another thing that makes it easier to love unconditionally. Aside from seeing your enemies as victims or as children. It comes from seeing yourself as guilty, as a perpetrator, or at least potential perpetrator. Because let's face it, nobody's perfect. We're all mortal. Your enemies certainly have made mistakes and done wrongs, but so have you. So who are you to judge them? Especially when it comes to like a Christian way of looking at it, like who do you, like do you have the right to judge other people? Because in order for you to judge people and not be a hypocrite, you'd have to be perfect yourself, and you know that you're not. Now, now I'm not gonna pretend that it's not like some people are less perfect than others. Some people are definitely more flawed and more wrong and have made more mistakes and have done worse things. So that's there is still like a spectrum here, for sure. A counter argument you might be tempted to make is like, yeah, well, those other people that I don't like, they've done, much worse things than me, so it's not the same, why should I, forgive them? Why shouldn't I judge them? But still, and I think that just comes to down to the victim argument, in that a lot of those people are more ignorant and lost, as rather than truly, evil down to the core. I know that argument may not be compelling or may not work for a lot of people. I think a lot of people are just not ready. They're not sort of at the place in their lives where they're ready to hear it. But I do believe that it's true from the bottom of my heart. Not that it's easy to put into practice, because it's not. I've been saying justice is hard. Unconditional love is hard. But I think I truly believe that it is the path to a more peaceful world, without an unnecessary culture war, and without capitalism being like the I don't know, the rule of law, basically. I think it's the way to go. It's not easy, but we gotta try. But yeah, like that's one reason why I think unconditional love will be naturally more difficult to grasp the younger you are, because younger people are less likely to have made serious mistakes in their lives, because they haven't been alive for as long, which means less opportunity to make mistakes. But I think the older you get, the more you pile up regrets, the more you look back and think, and the more power you have. The more able you are to hurt people, and the more time you have with which to have opportunities to hurt people, the more you look back and you think, these are all things I wish I've done differently. And eventually I think you yearn to be forgiven by others. And it's that yearning, I think, at least for me, not just for me, but for me as well, it's that yearning that drove me, that really pushed me toward unconditional love as a personal philosophy, because the truth is, I too want to be unconditionally loved. I don't want people to hate me and write me off just because of one mistake that I made, and one wrong thing that I said. I think I deserve for my mistakes not to define me. I think I deserve to be loved for my whole person, and for people to treat me as if they have my best interest in mind. And I think that the idea of unconditional love becomes really compelling when you start to see yourself not just as purely as a victim, but as a potential perpetrator, as someone who can hurt people, or maybe who has already hurt people. And at that time, you will adopt it as a philosophy for yourself, because in order to avoid being a hypocrite. Nick and Ellie says, "You've made some good points." Oh, thank you. And yeah, maybe I'll try and be more forgiving, but there's two people I simply can't forgive and never will. I don't want to trauma dump with those two. Okay, you don't have to trauma dump. I think I have an idea of what you're talking about already. I think that actually reminds me of a point I meant to say earlier, but I must have overlooked it. Earlier, I believe I talked about not unconditional love should be the default in life, with the exception of people who have basically ruin our, like, these people who are actually ruined our lives, like people who would be like unsafe for us to trust. And when I say people here, I really mean individuals. Like I'm talking about like specific people, like your mom or your dad, or maybe like a specific like famous person who has like a really bad reputation, but that doesn't mean, but what is not okay to do is withhold unconditional love from broad groups of people just because of biases and stereotypes that you have, such as men or women. Like it is not okay to indiscriminately hate groups of people because stereotypes are never true. Like you may, in believing in stereotypes, you may fear these people, you may but the truth is deep down, every single one of them is an individual with nuance and with their own story. And I'm gonna. This is not the male loneliness. I'm not. This is not the culture war. Is not the main topic of the stream. I'm gonna do sort of a stream more about this, more focused on this later. But basically, like suffice. I think it suffices to say it is reasonable. I find it reasonable to not trust a specific person who has wronged you, like a specific individual with a face and a name that who you have met and like interacted with. It is okay to not trust that one specific individual. What it is not okay to do is, for example, let's say that individual is a man. It's not okay to not trust all other men and to put them all in the same bucket just because you've had some bad experiences with a few, because, or even several, because no matter how many men you've had bad experiences with, you haven't had bad experiences with every single man on earth. That's not possible. There are still, like, people out there who are, don't deserve to be lumped in with all the, not responsibly behaving members of that group. And this is a topic that I'm going to talk about in more depth in another stream. Same applies to, of course, women and any other demographic. Another way of thinking about this is that we live in a world where the default mode is conditional love and unconditional hate. In that we go around needing like specific reasons to start loving people, and until we have those reasons, we hate and we don't trust people by default. And I think this is wrong, and it leads to problems. And what we should actually be aiming to do is the opposite. We should try to love people by default and only hate them if we have like very specific reasons to do so under very specific circumstances. We should try to love indiscriminately, not hate indiscriminately. And I'm pretty tired now, so I don't think I will talk about any other of the topics, like sort of off-topic stories that I have that I was considering talking about. Sometimes I end off streams with like oh, here are some like off-topic stories that don't relate to the main topic, but are kind of fun. I don't know if I'll get to those since I'm pretty tired today. This has been a long stream, so thank you everyone who stuck with me. I also see Fahima said you have made it back before the end. Yeah, I think I'm gonna end this off by saying that I think I've managed to get to all my points. I think so on the previous slide, where I said this, love is the strongest force in the world, the Brothers Karamazov is sort of where that argument, where that stance comes from, because the book very much argues as unconditional. It makes a very compelling argument as to why unconditional love is actually the way to go if you want to change people, if you want to have influence in the world. It's much stronger than the traditional form of influence, which is hard power, which is beating people up and threatening to kill them. It's a lot more effective than that. And that's why that's why we should try to, what's one of the reasons we should try to practice it. I guess one last note that I can make is that many of you probably know already that I am part of a philosophy VTuber group called Vlosophy, with fellow philosopher VTubers, Aerith Gainsborough and Axion, who was in chat up until a little while ago. And for any of you here who still has major doubts as to whether unconditional love is ethical or whether it's effective, what I can tell you is that all three members of Vlosophy, all three philosopher VTubers, we all believe in unconditional love. I know this through certain behind the scenes discussions that I've had with my gen mates, and granted, they may not call it by the name of unconditional love. They are they may not they may not understand it necessarily through the context of Dostoevsky. I know not unlike compared to me, Axe and Karis haven't read a lot of Dostoevsky, so they might have learned of it through a different context. And maybe certain details there may be certain differences in our beliefs when it comes down to like the details, but when it comes to broad strokes, we all believe in unconditional love, and which here can be defined as the importance of treating all other people with a basic respect, and to avoid treating anyone with cruelty, to avoid letting cruelty motivate any of our actions. Yeah. So on the off chance, no one here has given me this impression, but on the off chance that anyone is like, I don't agree with Tia on this issue, I'm gonna go talk to like Axe and Karis and try to get a different answer, I highly doubt that you would get a fundamentally different answer from either of them. Which, in the end, this is just a sample of 3 people. So, that doesn't mean everything. But for me, I feel like the fact that all 3 of us philosophers, despite our personal differences, happen to agree on this one very sort of on this one issue, is sort of lends some credibility to this argument, to this stance. And I can say for myself that now we're gonna get touchy-feely, but Axe and Karis are both very kind and caring people, and it is through I think that both of their commitment to unconditional love as a philosophy is reflected in their kind and positive treatment towards me, which ever since I've met them has helped me become a happier and better person. Since having said that, since now I know, since I know he'll be upset, like if I since having said that, if I don't say this part, my husband Leon is also someone who definitely helped sell the idea of unconditional love to me, not just as a Christian, like as any generic old Christian, but he's been with me through a lot of times when I thought I was wrong and I didn't deserve it. And experiencing such forgiveness is very powerful and really helps change you, I think. So certainly, I think the course of my life experiences, from being neglected at an early age to finding friends and who are incredibly kind to me, I think is a testament to the power of unconditional love or free, not that, since my husband and my friends are still human beings, and not that their love is literally unconditional love, but it's still a very free and a very confident love that is not found often enough in our society, I think. Since this was a long stream, and I don't know, I think I have my notes in front of me. I think I covered all of my main points, but regardless, there may have been things that I didn't explain well or missed. So before I end stream, I'm just gonna take the opportunity to say, if anyone still has any questions or concerns or comments on this, here's our last chance to raise them before I end stream. Obviously, once I've ended stream, if you still have any questions, you may raise them, on Discord or on a future stream as well. I don't mind, but but still, I wanted to offer that courtesy before I ended stream. I think this stream went pretty well. I think everyone here has either said I already agreed with this coming into this, or said like told me that I raised some good points, which I really appreciate. I know like a lot of people are very touchy about this issue, especially if, you know, if they think that, you know, going back to the objections, if they think that what I'm trying to say is, oh, you're trying to enable bad people or something like that. So I'm very thankful that everyone was respectful and fair and tried to hear me out. Nobody attacked me and accused me of like, you know, like being like an abuser, like apologist or anything like that, which I swear I'm not. I was abused too. Negan says no questions, banger presentation. Thank you very much. Thank you for coming, and I really appreciated your contributions today. It's really I'm really flattered hearing such high praise. Robo says, I think I'm good. You did actually cover most of my questions, and I pasted some main points that I want to share from the thing I wrote. Oh, I didn't realize. I'm glad then. I'm glad to hear that I was able to cover most of your questions. Anything else? Fahim says, yeah, I think from your examples you gave a pretty clear idea of your idea of unconditional love, which matches the idea I have and so is difficult to object to. I see. Yeah. I wasn't sure how difficult it would be to object to, but you know, if it is, then you know, I'm glad. It sounds like I have a pretty airtight defense. I think that yeah, I guess with that, I guess I'm gonna end stream now. Do I have really anything else I need to talk about? I guess it's just that Robo, you did a great job again, though I wait in anticipation for the chat stream where we all really get to really dump in chat. What do you mean? What do you mean chat stream? Do you mean when we talk about male loneliness, the topic that shall not be named? I guess the only thing left is an announcement. So for those who haven't heard yet, speaking like on the topic of love, I am going to be doing debates collab with Axion on his channel on Valentine's Day on this Saturday at 8 o'clock Eastern about love, and not just unconditional love, but about different forms of love in general and why we you know, why we love people, why we should love people, and other similar related questions. I'm not done preparing for it yet, since I've been mostly trying to prepare for this stream, but I honestly think it's going to be a good one. I think you should all come if you can. I think it's going to go really interesting places. So I recommend that you be there. And I myself, this will be my first live, like true live appearance with a VTuber model on my Oshi's channel. So, you know, needless to say, I am really, really hyped about this opportunity. Yeah, with all that said, yeah, I think it's a good time to close up shop. So thank you for watching. This was Tia Faire channel, and until next time, bye bye.